Good morning, pop culture. We are live. It is Thursday, December 13th, 2018. It's 7:51 a.m. and it's time to start your day off right with Good Morning Pop Culture. We're coming off a really great episode of Good Morning Pop Culture. We've had a lot of positive feedback from yesterday's show. You guys loved the rant. You loved what I had to say about this arbitrary bullshit Bechdel test. And I'm going to be talking about it more, not today, because we have some other things to talk about, but it is going to get its own video. It always actually was going to get its own video, but this information that came out yesterday is starting to pick up the pace on that. Also, I found an article. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to spoil it. It is as bad as the bullshit we were reading back in May about Solo, a Star Wars story. The shill media is striking back, folks. They think they're going to come in at the end of the year and control the narrative. But this is the year that the Star Wars fans won, and we're going to keep that on rolling. So, don't worry, that's going to be coming in the next few days. I wouldn't say coming in the coming days, because that's too much coming, you know, McLovin style. But we're going to get to that. Today we're going to cover The Mandalorian for a moment, because that's a topic I want to discuss tonight on World Class Bullshitters, the podcast. So we're going to have that to cover. We're going to have a couple other things. Some Marvel news, a little bit of clarification from yesterday's show. We had discussed the whole Marvel Universe is doing another reboot, and now Marvel announced what actually is going down. So, we'll talk about that in just a moment. While everyone is filing in this morning, we also have to talk about the Friday night, tomorrow night. That's what comes after Thursdays. We're going to be doing a Spider-Man live watch party, and I'm going to attempt to figure out how to draw during the live stream. So while we're watching the film, I'll have two Google accounts. One will be logged into me, one will be logged into the other one, and what we'll have is one will be drawing, and the other one will have a timestamp clock. So we can talk about Spider-Man, we can have some fun, and, you know, you can check me out drawing some pictures of my favorite superhero, the reason why I got into comics, and all this fun stuff. So be prepared for that. That will be tomorrow night. We'll start Spider-Man 1 around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way that'll give Kendo ample time to get home, and we can start Spider-Man 2, because tomorrow night is a double feature, folks. We're going to be talking about the two greatest Spider-Man movies, and Spider-Man 2 is arguably one of the greatest superhero films of all time. It's 14 years later, and the film still stands up to today's standards. So I'll be talking about that. We'll be going into a deep dive. Bring your best questions, your best comments, your best observations. And your patrons who have contacted us, you will be on the show. And for those out there, we have about 1 or 2 spots left, depending on how much you're interested in Spider-Man. So come join us and have a lot of fun. So I'm glad people seem to be excited for that stream. It's going to be great. I do like to draw. I love to draw Spider-Man, and I'll get prepared. I'll do a couple warm-up exercises, and then we'll just start. And then once I complete the first one, maybe you guys can recommend, like, hey, draw Spider-Man eating a cake, or Spider-Man kicking a goal, or something. I don't know. Just random shit. I was going to say kicking somebody in the balls, but that's not nice. It's too early. Speaking of nice and naughty, Christmas time. Dion and I last night recorded a commentary for Lethal Weapon. Now, we have a patron who's requested Lethal Weapon 3, as well as a few other patrons who have other requests. But yesterday's Lethal Weapon commentary is for Patreon. It's just a little bit of extra Christmas fun. It's just Dion and I, so it's a much different dynamic, but it's a lot of fun. You know, Riggs and Murtaugh are buddy cops in that movie, and Dion and I are like the real-life definition of buddy cops. So it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys to listen to, because Dion and I had a hell of a time discussing the film. We took it seriously. We joked. It's a good time. So if you're a patron, that should be available today over on Patreon. And I guess our final bit of housekeeping news is I went to the P.O. Box yesterday, and the post office was closed. Yes, I went at 11:22 a.m. thinking, oh, I'm going to get my stuff, I'm going to grab something to eat, I'm going to come back and get ready for the gym and do some other stuff. No. My post office takes a lunch break from 11 to noon every single day. So I guess working from 9 to 11 is too much work. So they have to take a break. So that's, I guess, bureaucracy at its finest. So for those wondering, no, I did go to the P.O. Box. I was denied entry. And by the time I got out of the gym, the post office was closed at 5 o'clock. So count me in like Jeremy. I've said so about 27 times this morning. I apologize. It's early. I'm having coffee. I am excited for this show. But I got to tell you, This video that I need to be working on, my God, it's like they've been waiting for us. And, well, what do we do best? We strike back. So, good morning to everybody. Pagan God X. I was watching Starcade 97 last night. Oh, excuse me, yesterday afternoon during lunch. Man, that was a good WCW show. If anybody likes WCW and you haven't seen that one, check it out. But, yeah, see, all kinds of people are upset about the P.O. Box thing. Sorry, guys. I'll go. I'll take care of it today. What I'm going to do is after this show, I'm thinking about, I don't know. I gotta work on this video, but I gotta do other stuff. So is the life of a YouTuber. But, hey, what can I say? Yeah, Pagan God X, I was listening to that podcast too. 83 Weeks on Starcade. And we need 38 more viewers to start today's show. So folks out there not listening, everybody here listening, let's use the force to bring them in. Because we're going to start talking about The Mandalorian. Lucasfilm's attempt to reignite the Star Wars fandom's passion. Is it going to work? Is it going to fail? I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be the hit that the shill media will tell you it's going to be. Oh, we're optimistic about everything. Yeah, this show's hidden behind a paywall. I don't think a lot of people are going to sign up for Disney+. But you get access to The Lion King and Toy... I don't care. You've canceled the shows I like. You won't put adult content on the show, or on the channel, the streaming service. So why am I going to give you my money? We'll get into that in just a moment. I wanted to call it The Man and spell DELOREAN like the car. But then I thought, man, if I call it The Mandalorian, then I have to do a Photoshop of a DeLorean time machine with a Mandalorian helmet instead of a, I don't know, Mr. Fusion. And I was like, it's too much time. I don't have it. Does anybody else keep working on my comic? I am working on my comic. I actually got, I'm involved in something really awesome. I got a phone call yesterday. I can't tell you guys about it, but it's going to shock and surprise you, who called me, what they asked, what I'm involved in now. And you'll find out soon. I can't tell anybody yet, but I want to tell people. I told one person, my mom, obviously, and that's about it. So even the other bullshitters don't know, and they probably won't know, because they can't know. Oh man, do you think episode 9 will be better than The Last Jedi but will fail? I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll find out together. I'm drinking my Cafe Verona Starbucks. I did listen to our buddy Rugis, and I got some organic coffee pods from Cameron's Coffee, but I drank them all because they were so delicious. So I'm back to the shitty BPA-filled coffee cups from Starbucks. So it's keeping me awake, it's keeping me alive, and we need 11 more viewers to start the show. I have not seen the new Glass trailer. I'm going to watch that for the podcast tonight. Let me write that down, because that's something that needs to be covered. I am not an M. Night Shyamalan mark, but I do like M. Night Shyamalan's last couple of movies. I liked The Visit. I loved Split. I couldn't think of the name. And I also loved Unbreakable, and I liked The Sixth Sense. Overall, I guess M. Night Shyamalan's just okay in my book, because I don't care about The Village. I hated it. I didn't like... what's the other one? Lady in the Water. I didn't like Signs that much. Funny story about Signs before we start today's show. My aunt and my cousin went to go see Signs way back in 2000. I guess it's like 2000. And as they were there, the theater lost power. And so they never got to see the ending of the movie. And to this day, my aunt never watched Signs. So, like 18 years later, she's still thinking to herself, I wonder how that movie ended. I don't have the heart to say, Aunt Pat, here's a Blu-ray. Just watch it. So here we go, folks. The cast of The Mandalorian has been announced. Now, not without reason, a lot of people out there in the fandom have been concerned about the casting of the actual Mandalorian. to nip it in the bud, it's not about sexism or racism, but Disney does have a very obvious agenda. Excuse me, Lucasfilm has a very obvious agenda when it comes to these movies. White women are the leads. Okay? It's like Kathleen Kennedy's trying to make up for the past. Not okay. So we were given Rey, we were given Jyn Erso, we were given Kira, who really did lead the Solo film. I mean, you can't even... Han Solo can get the title of the movie, but he can't be the hero of the movie. It's almost kind of sad. So when people heard about The Mandalorian, they assumed that it would be the WoMandalorian. People were actually zooming in on the crotch of this character, looking for signs. Is there a vagina in there? Look at the hips. Look at this. Look at that. Well, now we finally have confirmation that it is no longer the WoMandalorian, but the Mandalorian. Again, though, I don't chastise you guys for questioning what's going on with Lucasfilm, because it is in their MO to subvert our expectations. Just when you think you might get something enjoyable, you get garbage. You get The Last Jedi, you get Solo or Soilo. Eddie Max of Andor, thank you very much for a super chat. Good morning, suckers. Missed the last 2 shows. Happy today. Well, I'm glad to have you back, Eddie Max of Andor. And if you get a chance, go back and listen to, I guess, what the rants in the fairly beginning of yesterday's Good Morning Pop Culture. That really got a lot of people interested. So if you want to hear something exciting, go and listen to that. I might, if I remember, over the weekend, I'll extract the rant and I'll put it up separately. Just got to remind me, guys. Now, so that was the preface of The Mandalorian. We know it takes place post Return of the... No, sorry. It's between 3 and 4, right? Yeah. No, this is the post Return of the Jedi one. The Jon Favreau series is. The Cassian Andor series takes place between episodes 3 and 4. Now, on paper, this series looks way better, because Pedro Pascal, I've only seen him in one thing, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, but I liked him. He had some charisma to him, a real level of like, okay, this guy's like, you know, a fictional hero, not like Han Solo, but he could be that kind of role. He exudes the masculinity, the charisma, the machismo, if you will. So this character is now being played by him, and I'm fine with that. You know, people are going to go, oh, you're not going to complain that he's Hispanic or something? Why would I give a shit? I just want a cool character. But let's talk about the rest of the cast. Now, some of these names I know, some of these names I love, and some of these names I don't give a shit about. So first off, as we talked about, we have Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, the titular character. Then Gina Carano. I don't know who she's going to play, but Gina Carano's okay. She was fine in Deadpool. She was a former MMA fighter, now turned actress. She's better than Ronda Rousey in terms of acting, so good for her. Ronda Rousey, enjoy the WWE. Gina Carano, enjoy Star Wars. There you go. Nick Nolte, I'm surprised he's still alive, but I like Nick Nolte. The last thing I saw him in was Tropic Thunder over 10 years ago, and he did a good job. I think it was, what, Four-Leaf Tayback? So, I'm cool with Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte's had a great career. Okay, Nick Nolte's had a career. I liked him enough in 48 Hours. I've seen him in a handful of movies. Cool. Good to see some old school actors get another shake at it. Better than Chris Christopherson than playing the role. Carl Weathers. Now, this is the one that excites me. Carl Weathers is the man. Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed. He was Dylan in Predator. He was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind as a random soldier. Carl Weathers has really had a great, great acting career. He is almost a household name, and he's cool. He brings a lot to the table. And even at his old age, I believe, based on his history of other, film projects, that he's got a level of badass to him that, I could see him as a former warrior or a former war hero, like a war-torn Lando Calrissian. But I hope he's not Lando Calrissian. That'd be stupid. So I'm cool with Carl Weathers as well. Emily Swallow, I don't know who that is. Omid Abtahi, don't know who he is. Giancarlo Esposito, that's the dude from Breaking Bad. Gustavo Fring, so that guy's cool. I think that's him, right? Yeah, that's him. He's awesome. So I expect some really scary shit from him. Man, Breaking Bad was fun. If you haven't seen it, check it out. G. Esposito needs to play a spice dealer, says the Grand Inquisitor. Well, first off, Grand Inquisitor, thank you very much. Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to see this show be the darkest, seediest Star Wars show ever. This needs to be what 1313 was supposed to be. But then again, if it is, that exposes what Lucasfilm has really been doing by taking the expanded universe and all the other projects, killing them, taking the best ideas and using them for their new projects. Well, it just goes to show the lack of creativity. You're cannibalizing what could have been great, and you're kind of, putting it back together Frankenstein style. And yeah, you may have, the arm of a football player and the legs of a powerlifter, but you have the brain of an idiot. And you look cool, but there might not be a lot of substance in there. Salvador, thank you very much. The moist must flow. Moisten the muff button. Yes, folks, we have 283 viewers. Let's get 284 thumbs up, please. Give an extra one for me. And good morning to the Pui, my friend. Good morning. And then finally, this casting list closes out with Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog, excuse me. Old school actor, brings another level. But for anyone that would be excited over him, remember, they also brought in Max von Sydow for The Force Awakens, and his character was useless. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever he said to Kylo Ren. Not necessarily memorable for anything good. Oh, is that a Kenobi? Is this that? There was so much speculation back then. And I think, if anything positive to take away from the Disney acquisition of Star Wars, it's taught us to temper our expectations and lower them greatly. Because Disney Star Wars films have taught you that there's nothing to be excited about in the galaxy far, far away. No matter how they try to spin it, it's always a disappointment. For those out there that say, well, Solo could have been great. It could have been great, but it wasn't. Well, The Last Jedi was a dumpster fire. With The Force Awakens, you were duped. Well, what about Rogue One? It has some great parts, but overall, it does have some boring parts, too. It's the most successful, in my opinion, of them. But this cast is interesting. We'll see where it goes. Personally, I won't, unless, Disney calls me up and says, hey, for all the psychological damage we've caused you with the Star Wars trilogy that we've created, here's a free subscription to Disney+. I'm not going to watch this. I'm going to rely on you guys to tell me what's going on. I'm going to rely on you guys to fill me in on all the juicy little details. Because, personally, I just can't allow myself to spend money. Because we're going to talk about in a little bit more information on the Marvel Netflix shows and how the plot has thickened. It's a lot murkier than we once thought now, because contract disputes are keeping those characters away for a lot longer than we expect. And I really don't know how people can get excited for this. If you are genuinely excited and you're part of our community, awesome. More power to you. I feel like the longer we go on with the fandom menace and the way Star Wars is being presented, you have to greatly explain what you're excited for, why, and what you dislike and why. Because the more powerful we've grown over this year, the more enemies arise. You got big websites trying to take us down. Cool. Well, the beauty of all this is that we have the listeners, the fans on our side. And so there was no reason to ever alienate anyone. If you enjoy us, but you also love Rogue One more than the prequels, cool, welcome to the community. Much like Ethan's video. I finally got a chance to check that out. You should check it out too. Ethan's newest Star Wars, not his Mark Hamill one, the one that came before that about the whole young controversy. That, it was a well-edited, well-made video. Check it out. Ethan is putting some hard work into that. And it's entertaining, and it's fun. And it is true about communities. We are a community. We're a very positive, fun community. I think everyone out there that ever tries to, to be a detractor to us, talk shit, cause problems, make up lies, has never actually spent the time. People get upset over, oh, you didn't like Star Wars. No, I didn't like Star Wars. But I do like the people that, we have found through our dislike of Star Wars. And I'm sorry that we've created something that you can't. You can be bought and paid for. We're not. We're genuine. And people pick up on that. And that's why, tens of thousands of people listen to us every day. I mean, you can't pay for that kind of interaction. I mean, you think you can, but you can't. You just gotta engage people. And that's what we do in the Fandom Menace. And every time new Star Wars information comes out, we don't get, Ethan, Jeremy, and I don't get together and say, how can we shit on this? We give you our honest take. And sadly, our honest take is disappointment for a lot of this stuff. Now, with The Mandalorian, because we haven't seen anything outside of this one image, I'm very hesitant to say how excited I am. But The Mandalorians! Yeah, but everything else post-2012. You remember, folks, Disney's greatest gift to us was to temper our expectations. But to also be critical. Because people would think, well, by tempering your expectations, no matter what you watch, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Therefore, you'll look at the film more positively. That is a very valid argument. I would also throw, by tempering my expectations, my hype is low, and I may not even watch the thing in the first place. So, it's a double-edged sword. It's very dangerous, depending on who and how it's wielded. But we'll find out next year. Jeff the Iron Wolf says, I pray this show doesn't shit on the Mando culture. Yeah, I admittedly am not as deep into the Mandalorian culture as a lot of you are out there. A lot of you really, really get into the EU stuff and the Mandalorian hierarchy. I mean, I like Boba Fett. Jango Fett's fine. I don't really want anything of the Star Wars legacy shit on. That's really my whole stance about all this shit. Don't ruin the legacy. Don't ruin the lineage. And don't, dump on the fans. If somebody doesn't like something, they don't like something. Get over it. Get over it. So, Jeff the Iron Wolf, my friend, I'm with you, too. Zaire says, I'd be more excited for the Ithorian. Now, isn't that... First off, Zaire, thank you very much. Isn't that the Hammerhead dude, right? The dude that's, he's just called Hammerhead in the original toy line. Mama Nadon or something like that. I am waiting for Star Wars. It's weird. We'll have The Lion King come out, and they'll do an all-CGI film with fake creatures and the fake Serengeti and fake Pride Rock, and then we'll have to hear how everyone says how that's better than the original somehow. Based on a trailer, they know it's a better movie. Beyonce's in it. Why won't Star Wars take a chance and do alien-centric stuff? Avatar made $1 billion in whatever dollars. Could a Star Wars movie with an alien lead, free of garbage politics, make that kind of money? I'd say so. Because let's look at Venom for a moment. Venom, which we're going to talk about its sequel in a moment, is hitting it big across the world. Fantasy monster type of things are big right now at the worldwide box office. Godzilla's going to clean house next year. Aquaman, which is a fantasy setting type of film, is going to clean house next year. Avengers has moved into the fantasy setting, because if we look at the first two Avengers, it all takes place on Earth. Nothing crazy. I mean, I love the Battle of New York. It's my favorite Avengers end battle, but it's in New York. There's nothing crazy. Yeah, there's a wormhole from space, but 99% of that battle is just, oh, we're flying through the buildings. Fine, I get it. I'm not shitting on it at all. Then you get to number 2. It's an army of robots in a fictional European town, and then they pick it up and drop it, and that's it. The third one, we get to space, we get to Titan, we get to Wakanda, all fictional settings. And that movie is the biggest superhero movie ever. If you want to, in my opinion, I think that fantasy is now taking over bigger at the box office. I mean, it's very, very prevalent on TV. Game of Thrones, this apparent $1 billion Hobbit TV series or Lord of the Rings TV series is going to be big. All Star Wars really needs to do is put itself, because Kathleen Kennedy has been quoted saying that she wants Star Wars to look like the world around us. And now is the worst time for that. Star Wars has never meant to look like the world around us. It's an escape from the murky 1970s depressing cinema, which, as an adult, I find to be really great. And then in the 90s, it's a callback to that, plus it's an experiment in new technologies. So, say what you want about the prequels, maybe the stories don't tickle your fancy, but they were advancing digital technology, both in fully CG rendered characters, as well as all shot on digital films. I believe Episode 2 was the first film to be shot completely on digital, and that caused a lot of theaters to have to up their rigs, but still, it did push for future technologies. So you got to give the prequels that. The new Star Wars movies aren't anything. They're regressive at best. The most positive thing I can say is they're regressive films. So, while we bring it back to, oh, this looks like Boba Fett, it'll make money, while we bring it back to, oh, we can put original Stormtroopers and X-Wings in here, it'll make money, the rest of the world moves forward. So I know it was a joking super chat about the Ithorian, but honestly, a Star Wars thing with the music, the tone, and an alien lead, that could be the next thing that really captures the hearts and minds of the international audience. I don't think it's going to be Episode 9. They hate The Last Jedi. It took a month to leave and 1 weekend to drop 92%. That's a new lap record. I would love to see that happen again, and then Disney has to reassess the situation and they try something new. To close it out, I think most people do care about Star Wars and they want to see it get better, but it's just a continual facepalm. I feel like we're all Captain Picard and we just have our hands in our faces like, Jesus, what next? And honestly, everything is a Jesus, what next reaction. So it is weird to think, you know, somebody in the chat just said China knows what's up. I think the rest of the world's box office really knows what's up. And it's, like I said, the people want to say NPC, SJW, Scourge, whatever. However you want to phrase it. The silly people, whatever you want to say about them. It's a very Americanized, westernized thing. These aren't real-world problems. They are fictional internet problems made up by people with very low degrees that should be, I don't know, teachers, or shouldn't be teachers. They should be, I don't know, working at Starbucks or something like that. So, we'll see how they take this Mandalorian thing. Again, I'm cool with Pedro Pascal based off his performance in Kingsman. Gina Carano's cool. Nick Nolte, Carl Weathers, iconic. Giancarlo Esposito, the one I'm most excited for because Gustavo Fring was scary and amazing. When he died in Breaking Bad, that was one of the coolest television moments I've ever experienced. And if you haven't seen it, watch it for yourself. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but holy shit, that was badass. If this show has the tone of Breaking Bad, but with Star Wars, I may have to eat my Indiana Jones licensed fedora or something. Who knows? Zaire, thank you very much. Heck no, LOL. Not a joke super chat. I legit want alien-centric stuff, specifically Ithorians because they're the greatest. Check my channel. Zaire, I know it's been a while, but haven't you been on this channel? Or haven't we spoken? Like, where we heard each other's voices? Because I distinctly remember early in the year, a patron or somebody here on this channel had love for Ithorians. Were you the guy that we talked about Star Wars collecting? Like, really early in the year? We had a whole hangout about that. Because that was fun. And, I think I remember your name. I won't say it on air to dox or anything like that. But we got to have you back on to talk more of that stuff. I wouldn't mind having a collector's hangout for people that do collect Star Wars. Because I keep getting images over on our Facebook page. And they show, oh, I'm at a clearance store. And look at how healthy the Star Wars section is. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad but kind of funny. So, yeah, sorry, I had a Patreon message. If our buddy Voorhees67 is out there listening right there, or out now, yes, please join us for Spider-Man. I will send you the link tomorrow night. So, I hope you're listening live. If not, I'll just respond to your message later. That is you, okay. Yeah, it was you did the Ithorian animations. I remember watching those now. I remember watching those. My thought, the thing is, we're getting closer to episode 9 literally every day. That's not a hyperbolic statement. Every day is a day closer to that film. I think it'll do less than the other films. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Disney, Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, everyone involved with these movies know what's up. They look at it from this point of view. We'll play a hypothetical game of like hot potato. Once you get the potato, you think it's this. Once you get the potato, you think it's that. So let's play, you know, from a different point of view, the Obi-Wan Kenobi officially licensed home board game. There's a point of view that looks at Star Wars as it's such an early investment still that they don't want to really rile up the fans. They want a future-proof Star Wars, like Lucas did. I mean, shit, the guy could have sat at home from 2008 to 2012 and made a couple $1 billion because it's Star Wars, you know? Pump out a Blu-ray release, whoop-de-doo, you're done, you make all this money. It was such a powerful, magical brand. But what to get to the point I'm trying to make is, episode 9, they wanted to put stuff in there that gets everybody hyped. Yes, they need to continue the story, but at the same time, they need to continue the brand. If episode 9 continues the story of Kylo Ren and Rey, and it's very unsatisfactory to a lot of people, expect that movie to be hurting at the box office. And that'll look bad to investors. And see, it all comes out at such an important time. Star Wars Episode 8's perceived failure, especially here in America, and definitely an actual failure in China, has emboldened a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of studios to challenge Star Wars. You know, back in the day, it's like, fuck, Star Wars comes out, I'm not touching it for the next 4 weeks. You know, you're staying away. You got Jumanji the week before, because Jumanji made a ton of money, and it was actually a fun film. You got Cats. You'll have other holdovers from earlier in the year, earlier in the month and the month before. Star Wars doesn't command the type of respect it does at the box office from other studios, from the theater chains. You know, they really shot their load too early with Episode 8, because last year I covered how they wanted to have a 4-week guarantee in the biggest auditorium in every town, or else you're not going to get to see the film. Well, that kind of backfired on them, and they no longer hold that power. So that's my first point of view. Like it's going to make less because there's more competition. The fans are angered at Star Wars, and there's a sense, and also, let me get this in there too, the media, we can call them the shill media, these people that want to write articles, the people that really aren't involved with it, they're going to cause a bigger rift. Your Scott Mendelsons of the world, your internet critics that get invited to the premieres that really just work for the company, act like they don't, you know, the double agents of the Star Wars franchise, because all the people that are shills are just advertising. The only person that's a genuine shill that doesn't get paid is Kevin Smith. He's excited about all this shit, but at the same time, he's not genuine. Everything is perfect to him. Everything's great. $2 billion flick, says Batman and Superman. Best friend, Kevin Smith. Didn't make even $1 billion, Kevin. And I don't think it's just because he gets excited for movies that we don't like. It's that he gets excited for everything. Therefore, nothing is worthy of getting excited over. So I think the movie will make less. That's my take. It's just going to be a disappointment by all. Now, could the movie be truly amazing? Remember, your opinion on a movie is subjective. Sometimes movies can be objectively bad, but there's pleasure to be taken in those. I don't think The Last Jedi has very much pleasure to be taken. It's funny too, if you listen back to how these movies are all received when they first come out, The Last Jedi was like, well, it's the best looking Star Wars movie. And even now people have changed their tune. The nice thing about society, the nice thing about the Star Wars fandom is that people do look for the positives. You know, this isn't a hate group. People are always looking for something cool to talk about to keep the conversation going. But this is the year where they have changed it. They have made it forbidden to talk about Star Wars, and therefore, we react a certain way. But we had a super chat pop in from Cesaria Japan. Thank you very much. Betcha SJWs find tons of ways to claim the various Star Wars alien races or real-life racist caricatures, Twi'lek or African Americans, etc. And you know what you do? You ignore them. Because they'll always eat their own. They'll always self-destruct. They're like the messages from Chief Quimby to Inspector Gadget. Or Jim Phelps to Ethan Hunt. After you look at it, you have 5 seconds and the tape is destroyed. They are the secret mission tapes. The secret messages. You just crinkle them up and throw them away and they'll blow up, and you go on with your job. You go on with your life. The internet's a powerful tool, but Disney has chosen to listen to a portion of the audience who has no bearing in the financials. I think a great example of how the internet perceives its power of the shit, like the anti-fandom menace people perceive their power, as opposed to the people who are fandom menace. Actual power is, look at the Chuck Wendig situation. Chuck Wendig was removed from Marvel's Darth Vader series. Then all these assholes were like, if you take the book, you're going to be a scab and you're going to be ruined and this and that, and we're going to make sure you don't have a job. Not only was Chuck Wendig's next 2 books canceled, the rest of them were canceled. Somebody else has taken over the whole series, and everyone's fucking quiet. They know that if they put out a Chuck Wendig Darth Vader series, first off, his actions are what got him fired. Everyone that acted like he was this great white knight saving the world was wrong. And if Marvel and Disney were afraid of the backlash by moving forward with his series or moving forward with his product, well, then they wouldn't do it. But they're not. See, they're afraid of firing a Kathleen Kennedy because of the optics of the situation, especially with the launch of a Star Wars theme park and a Star Wars centric streaming show and all this stuff. You want to keep your management there, plus she's a lady, and they don't want to make it look like, well, we fired her. Amy Pascal, you know, she got what came to her for her ineptitude. Not Kathleen Kennedy. She's lucky. She's friends with Spielberg. But yeah, if you ignore the SJW people or the NPCs or whatever you want to call them, if you ignore them, they go away. They don't really have much buying power in this country. You know, if you look at what sells, what's popular, what moves, like there are certain products that transcend, even if, let's just say in this culture war, there are just 2 sides, the NPC SJW crowd and the normal people. There are certain products that do cross, you know, party lines, like a Super Smash Brothers. That's something that no matter who you are, what you believe in, who you vote for, it appeals to you. You know, my friend Phil, the doctor, you've all heard of him. He's a good guy. He has a buddy who I won't name on air, who has pulled the SJW card a couple times in person. The best one was we were talking something. He goes, "Is it because I'm a minority?" And I looked at him in the face and said, "What the fuck are you talking about? You're not the only non-white person here." And he just shut up and everybody just had a good laugh. But he pulls that card. Even he, somebody who ardently defended The Last Jedi last year at Christmas, because, again, like The Force Awakens, it hit me hard when I saw that fucking movie. I was like, what? It hurt. Not like where I was crying, but it just was like, my God, can they never get this right? What have they done to our Star Wars movies? But we had that discussion last year. We had that argument. We had that fight. But Cesare Japan, they can have their stupid arguments about this is, you know, this is sexist, this is racist, this is a... You know what? Those people really read too deep into it. You know, Dion and I had a quick, brief discussion during our Lethal Weapon commentary, which you can hear on Patreon starting, I don't know, today at 1 o'clock, about how if Lethal Weapon was made today, not the TV show, but the movies, they would go out of their way to talk about cultural diversity and ethnic sensitivity and all this stuff. Riggs and Murtaugh were family. One was white, one was black. That is what's great about that movie, among other things. But they don't really go on and on about him being a black, you know, Riggs is white, Murtaugh's black. If that was today, they would do that. You know, you can put social messages, you can have meanings to your films. We talked about it the other day. Godzilla has way more. There's more than meets the eye to Godzilla. You know, Lethal Weapon even has a couple preachy things, but it's not in your face. It's like, save the whales, don't eat tuna. Okay, and then the dad's like, shit. Because, you know, the family and the kids are always into some shit, and he's just kind of like, I'm too old for this. It's nice that you can put some, if you have to put something in there, do it with tact, do it smart. That's what we really want. You know, make people think. John Carpenter has that power. Okay, so Spider-Man, not Bug Boy, thank you very much. Directors would rather please SJWs than the fans. Well, I guess it's because it's an echo chamber of sycophantic shills. You know, they want to hear, oh, we gave this representation, we did this and we did that. But your movies don't have the shelf life. It's like they only focus on the short term. And then, like, okay, for example, Die Hard. If they made Die Hard today, they'd say, well, it's a German stereotype and this, that, and the other. Or maybe they wouldn't because German people tend to be white, so they wouldn't go that route. But all they do is it stifles creativity. Look, we talked about the Bechdel test. When I talk about the Bechdel test in detail, be prepared to talk about creativity being stifled. Now, there are times when you have limits that, you know, like practices and standards on television. It's a kid's show. You can't put this in there. I get those types of limits, but also when they create those things, they create a much more interesting show. For example, Batman the Animated Series, Robin's Reckoning. couldn't show the death of his parents, so they kind of implied it, and they showed a much more horrific visual. Or here's the best one. So I talk about comics on the channel every day. It's part of my identity. I love comics. You love comics. Nick Fury, the real old-school Nick Fury, the white one that fought in World War II, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. In the 1960s, there was Jim Steranko, one of the greatest artists of all time. There was a panel, a page of Nick Fury, where it shows him kiss a woman, and it's implied that they go to bed. And in the original page, they had, I don't know, a bed or something, and the Comics Code Authority had to remove it, had to censor it. So Marvel's art, Jim Steranko replaced it with a gun in a holster. And that's a much better piece of innuendo, and they never caught on. Sometimes, when you have a censorship limitation, or some sort of limitation that you can't really fight, you come up with a creative way to tell your story even better. With an arbitrary thing like the Bechdel test, you put yourself in a hole, you're obligated to write something to appeal to a fictional authority that has no authority over your product. And that is why I feel like the Bechdel test stifles creativity, because it's a self-imposed form of censorship for no other reason than to not offend a percentage of a percentage of a percentage. So, Spider-Man, not Bug Boy, I hope to see you on Friday night for our Spider-Man stream. And thank you for your Super Chat. I do agree, though, that they do focus on SJWs over fans. SJWs don't buy this shit, though, and they never have and they never will. Somebody says the cast looks old. I like that the cast looks old. I'm tired of 12-year-old kids in superhero movies. That's why that fake X-Men movie didn't take off. I think a nice happy medium for a lot of this stuff is, you know, as a kid you aspire to be an adult. As an adult you want to feel a little younger or whatever. You can find a happy medium. Plus, some of these actors are fantastic actors. Let's see. Where's the next super chat? Excuse me. Salvador, thank you very much. Love Twi'leks, hottest alien race. Ula was my first love. No shame, fight me. Salvador, I don't know if you know this story. You probably do since you love Ula so much. But the actress that plays her, fantastic shape. So she was in Return of the Jedi in 1983. In 1996, because they filmed it in 96, they needed her to come back and shoot her, the death scene of her, because it's not in the original cut. So the same actress came back, and she was in better shape than she was in 1983. So that lady is a testament to, you know, good health and all that other fun shit. But I like her too. I do find it funny that no matter how many times they re-release Return of the Jedi, they never censor out her nip slip. I don't want them to. I'm just saying I find it funny that no matter how many arbitrary special edition changes, we can put a rock in front of R2-D2, we can make Darth Vader scream no, but the titty stays. Good for you, George Lucas. Good for you. Pagan God X says, NPCs in the media? Devon? Get the tables! I love wrestling fans. I really do. I'll never change this channel into a wrestling-centric thing, but my God, when you guys show up, it brings a smile to my face. Because I listen to wrestling podcasts all the time, and me and my friends, or my friends and I, excuse me, we still talk about wrestling. Like this Sunday, we're probably going to watch TLC no matter how stupid it is. No matter how stupid it is. So, Zaire, thank you very, very much. Ithorians, Zabrak, Gigorians, Whippid, Selkath. Star Wars has so many great aliens and does nothing with them. I don't like 1 through 3 as much as 4 through 5, but they did great service in introducing many more races. Oh, yeah. And they also brought back a lot of iconic races that we all know, like Anakin's little Greedo-like friend, his little Rodian friend. Or is it, yeah, Rodian. They're not Rodarians. They're Rodians. The little Rodian kid. Or you saw, you know, Hutts or this or that. Episodes 1 through 3 world built. They really did. They're not perfect. We just did live commentary, so you can hear our reactions. I don't need to go too deep. Check those out. They were a lot of fun. We did the Star Wars movies. It's going to be our last Star Wars commentary for quite a while. Maybe we'll do one closer to episode 9 in the build-up, and we'll do oh God, we'll do even the Disney ones. Ugh. Stay subscribed to the channel for that next year. Ugh, my face is cringing. But they did do a great thing to introduce more characters. Like, even the Kaminoans, they were different. We had Sebulba, who was kind of cool. He walked and he used his feet, his hands, and all that stuff. Visually, those movies are a feast for your eyes. The new ones, you think they're this visual feast. You know, we can joke about Rick McCallum and say everything is so dense. But with the new ones, it's like, oh my god, the color red is so powerful in this throne room scene. Okay, I guess. This or that. These movies lack substance. It's like bad art. They try to tell you, oh, it has so much meaning, it's so deep, it's so this, it's so that. But when you look at somebody else, it's like, well, theirs has this and that, and it's a lot clearer and easier to read. Oh no, mine has more meaning. And Ryan Johnson will sit and try to convince you that it is deeper than it truly is, but it's really not. It's really not. So Zaire, thank you very much again. You have another super chat that says, that's real diversity. That's the real diversity issue in Star Wars. If there has to be a Star Wars diversity issue, yeah, why no aliens? Alien lives matter. Unless you're Greedo and Han Solo shoots you in the cantina. So, there's that. Oh my god, somebody just quoted Archie Bunker. Okay, what else did we have pop up? Makita Goot, thank you very much. Not paying Disney Plus after the disrespect to fans. And you have every right to not want to pay for Disney Plus with the disrespect to the fans. That is the one thing the shill media can never, ever spin positively. How they and Disney and Lucasfilm have treated the fans, and that when fans don't show up, it's basic. It's basic human decency. To shit on people and then not get a return is so basic. I don't know how people do not understand that concept. You bring them in, you know, dumping on your fans never works. Unless you're like Vince McMahon trying to get heat for a promo. No, no, no. You know, there's a difference between a real life work and a you know, never mind. I'm not going to get into the wrestling comparison. My point is, you can have a show that can be critical of certain things, but I think your PR department should always be positive sunshine and rainbows. Every fanboy tear mug, every time you cross out Luke Skywalker's face, every time you do something like that, all you do is anger people, and the anger hasn't stopped. We're a fucking calendar year removed from the movie, and people are still pissed off, and people are angrier than ever. You fucked with the thing, the piece of not the piece of merchandise, the piece of media that has tied so many people together, that has tied so many childhood memories to adulthood experiences. The thing that people love more than any other franchise. Like, yeah, you have your Transformers fans that'll spend $500 on Optimus Prime. You have your Ninja Turtles fans that'll come out of the woodwork to see a movie. But your Star Wars fans are a bigger audience, and it has had such a good shelf life up until recently. And it's a reaction to that. It's not like we've had decades and decades of disappointment. Say what you want about episodes 1 and 2. 3 delivered and blew the doors off the fucking joint. And people were cheering and happy, and the movie made tons of money. We finally got to see Darth Vader again. We got to see how he became Vader, and people left that theater excited. And you can go home and watch the original trilogy, and Star Wars was complete. With Disney, it's a never-ending saga of bullshit, a never-ending cycle of garbage. It's like, well, then we got this one and that one, and then it becomes murky and diluted, and people just aren't as excited. But Makita Goot, no one can ever argue that being dumped on by a corporate entity produces bad results, not only for them, but for us. You know, Lucasfilm, you can take all your digs and your shots, but and everybody out there, but your jobs aren't that secure. You know, eventually you're going to talk your way out of a decent job by being a dick to fans. Chuck Wendig, it happened to him. It's going to happen to a lot of people. And the funny thing is, all these people that virtue signal for the Lucasfilm camp, for, you know, pro-Disney, eventually people see them for what they are, people stop supporting what they do, and they lose a huge chunk of the audience. It's really, really incredible how fast someone can come and go in this community. Observer Dude, thank you very much. Do you think Disney should publish a graphic novel of Lucas's storylines for Episode 7? Yes, I do. And for anyone out there that says, yeah, but that sounds terrible, they did do that. Dark Horse published a comic book based on the original draft of Star Wars. I think it's just called The Star Wars. And it was cool. I only bought a couple issues, admittedly, because it came out during my college days where, you know, funds were tight for comic books. But they did it, and it was cool. Ow, I spilled coffee on myself. They should do something like that for Lucas's Star Wars. I'd like that. I don't think I would drop, you know, $30 on the book, but I may read it online or something like that. Who knows? But it is a cool concept in theory, and I'm sure a lot of people would like it. I don't think Disney will do it, though, because a lot of people may go, the real movie sucked. This was so much better. This was a better idea. And it could, again, color their perception of that film in a more negative way. And right now, in 2018, soon to be 2019, which will be the year that breaks Star... Well, this has been the year that broke Star Wars. And the next year is the year that could make Star Wars again. I don't think they want to take that chance. Let's see what else we got. Wait, nope, hold on. Billy Ritchie, thank you very much. Saw a funny dub of Netflix She-Ra. Funny as shit. Billy Ritchie, if you'd like to send me that, I will definitely check it out. And I love a good joke. I love dubs. Those dub videos are some of my favorites out there. ECW chants, bring it on. RVD is my favorite ECW wrestler. The reason, I guess the funny thing is, I say I won't cover wrestling or video games because that's what we used to say, because people would bitch earlier on in the channel life. So I guess part of me is still conditioned to that, because when I do cover games or when I stream games or talk about wrestling for a minute, people get invested in the conversation. So remember, folks, I'm glad, I put it like this, I'm thankful you guys like to hear me talk about anything entertainment-based. Right now, wrestling's really not worth a damn, so it's not worth much of my time. But sometimes wrestling analogies are incredibly important. Another thing, too, that a lot of people don't want to think about, wrestling has not set trends, but did certain things before trends were popular. Like this, there's this women's movement in wrestling, the women's revolution. They've done it a little preachy, okay, heavily preachy, because Stephanie McMahon, she got her job because her dad owns the WWE. People would say, well, she worked hard and went to college. She went to college for other shit. Go listen to the Bruce Pritchard podcast. It tells about her. She took a job. She did work her way up, much like her brother Shane. But Stephanie McMahon goes out publicly and says stuff about how philanthropy is the future of our business. But then the merchant or the products suck. You know, everything kind of sucks. But with Star Wars and they're not Star Wars, and wrestling on their women's revolution, they have brought in some great ones. They have brought in some shit ones. It's kind of a 50-50 mixed bag if it worked or not. People like to watch women wrestle, men wrestle. It doesn't really matter. But that narrative that they build up, the stuff they sell you on the commentary. See, wrestling is a lot like all this entertainment. The shit we watch is like the Star Wars movies, this and that. The commentary is like the shill media, because all they're doing is trying to sell you something. You get it at both ends with wrestling, and right now it ain't worth your damn time. So I'm glad you guys are cool with hearing me talk about it. I'm not going to start talking about Backlash 2000 and how The Rock finally won the title and how all that shit got me pumped. I mean, if Jeremy's around, yeah, or if we're drinking on a commentary or something and it comes up, yeah. But every once in a while, it feels good. Mareth Dealine, thank you very much. When an eel bites your thigh and you bleed out and die, that's amore. Put your hand in the crack and you won't get it back, that's amore. What have you been doing this morning, Mareth Dealine? When the jaw's open wide and there's more Johnson side, that's amore. When it sits on a reef and it has 2 sets of teeth, that's amore. I like what you did there. Mareth Dealine. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mareth Dealine. Your poor hand. Your poor, amore is I don't want to call it a fish. A nautical creature. Is that the preferred nomenclature? I don't want to offend any biological sea creature enthusiasts. Those are the enemies I don't want to make on this channel, because I'm genuinely afraid that they might, be pissed or send a shark. Don't send me pictures of sharks, folks. I'll cry. Michael Bay is better than Ruin Johnson. Well, yeah, definitely is. Grendel-fan84, thank you very much. Mornin', Marvel just recollected that and Star Wars Infinite into an epic collection. Infinite was the what if of the Star Wars universe. Yes, Grendel-fan, it was. I used to read those. They're kind of good. You know what? They are really good. Let me pull up a thing of that real quick. Star Wars Infinites. I'm going to show you guys what Star Wars Infinites are. The best part is you can go on YouTube and they'll tell you the entire story. Smokey's Videos has it. But Star Wars Infinites is a graphic novel trilogy published by Dark Horse from 2002 to 2004. It tells a non-canon alternative universe or alternate version of each film in the original Star Wars trilogy, which in which a point of divergence occurs and changes the outcome of the story. So if you guys want to check those out, you can get the Dark Horse published versions. But for example, you know, they don't destroy the Death Star. The shot doesn't work, and Luke and Han have to take off. Luke dies on Hoth. Han Solo stays blind, and Darth Vader becomes a good guy. You guys should definitely check those out. I think you guys will definitely enjoy them. I know you will enjoy them, because it comes from an era where Star Wars is still kind of good, and you can go out and you can pick up the... here's the thing. If you guys want to get this, but you don't want to support Disney, check out this cover right here. And if you really need to read this story, get this version. You do not give a single dime to Lucasfilm. You do not give a dime to Disney, and you get the exact same story because it existed prior to the Disney merger. So check out the Star Wars Omnibus Infinites and enjoy your stories. But thank you very much, GrendelFan84. And by the way, folks, if you see it in your local comic book shop like this, you do support local comic book shops, and those are just older books that have been sitting around for quite a while. Marethialine, thank you very much. My last 2 super chats was to the tune of either SpongeBob thing or That's Amore. You definitely... I said That's Amore. I got that one. I'm not a singer. I'm also not a golfer. Big Lebowski reference. But I did dig it. I picked it up, man. I got what you were saying. It was funny. The ending got me. So, applause to you. Hope to have you back on the channel soon, Marethialine. Pagan God X, I did read your super chat. I'll scroll up again, make sure I didn't miss it. But I'm almost, yeah, I'm positive that I did read it. Yeah, get the tables. Yeah, because then I started laughing about wrestling. I definitely read that one. So, Pagan God X, thank you very much again, though. So, Dayton Pfeiffer, the man, what's up? After eating at Texas Roadhouse tonight, as a way to celebrate my birthday, World Class Bullshitters will have episode 152 out tonight. I'm so looking forward to tonight. So first off, Dayton Pfeiffer, happy birthday, my friend. Thank you very much. I don't remember exactly when you showed up to the channel, but ever since you've been here, you've definitely been a presence. So thank you for all you've done for us. So have a good birthday. Tonight's show is going to be a lot of fun. We are going to cover The Mandalorian briefly again, because there's a different audience to the workers and lurkers of Good Morning Pop Culture, as opposed to the evening stream people. Now, when the Christmas break occurs from Good Morning Pop Culture, I'm not going to go away. Like I said, I'm going to actually have some stuff that I normally don't get to do. My mornings will be working solely on the comic book. My afternoons will be the comic book. But at night, we'll get together, we'll hang out, we'll shoot the shit about this. So we'll have like a Good Morning Pop Culture, but it'll be a good night pop culture type of thing. Because if you're in school or you're on a vacation, you don't want to get up at the crack of dawn. Even if you love this show, sleep is more important sometimes. So what do? Well, you could listen to the recast later on, the re-recording of it, the, I can't even think of the word, excuse me, the replay. Great. Or you could hang out with me at night. We could have some fun, have some streams, and just do something different. So that's what we're going to do. But Dayton Pfeiffer, enjoy the Texas Roadhouse. Now, I like Texas Roadhouse. It's a good place. There's a couple around me. I don't know what you like to get, but personally, get me the Porterhouse medium rare or slightly medium rare plus. I enjoy the hell. See, chain steak restaurants always overcook your steak, so that is why I now eat medium rare. I used to do medium. But medium would always get me well done at Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn, stuff like that. So I do medium rare. And the nice thing, too, is when you order your steak less cooked, they usually give you a fresher, better cut of meat. Because if it's slightly old, you can kind of cook it more, and people don't notice. But with, medium rare or so, they got to give you the freshest piece. So I hope that your birthday is excellent. We're going to, if you're available and you would like to come on the show tonight for your birthday, shoot me a message on Patreon, and I will have you come on and hang out with us. If not, no big deal. You can take the invite for another time. But we'd love to have you on as a way of telling you thanks, and have a good birthday, man. Take the day, take it easy today. If you got to work, get through work. But if you want to take it easy, just take it easy, man. Enjoy yourself. All out of bubblegum, thank you very much. Pardon me for asking this if it's said before, but are you going to change from Patreon to another platform? It has been covered. No, we're not. Patreon has been a solid platform for us. We've actually grown since I've covered it before. We actually gained quite a few new patrons. Patreon is very... Look at the Sargon of Akkad situation. I haven't really followed too much. But it's not them that did it. It's his detractors. People have attacked Sargon and done that kind of stuff. So Patreon is the best platform for us. I appreciate everyone that's sticking there with us. Nothing's changed. We give you guys a lot of content there. It's a good platform, and it's safe. So All Out of Bubblegum, we will be continuing to use the platform until the platform, we just are. That's all I can say. They've been good to us, and that's all I can say. But thank you very much. Let's see. Adjacent Culture, thank you very much. You should check out today's Esquire Last Jedi article. Oh, Adjacent Culture, I already have. I'm working on a video on it. That's why this show, after this show ends, I'm getting to work. I'm getting back to work hardcore. You see, it's funny. Some people think that I do these shows like this because I don't like making videos. I love making videos. I've been dying to work on videos. But we got to take into account it's a one-man operation. I got to do comics. I got to do other stuff. The beauty of this show is I present it to you. We have a great time. We build. We bond. We're all friends. I hope, at least. Maybe that kendo guy, not so much. But then I get to work on other stuff. The videos require a lot of editing. Now, I am going to be working on that video to try to get it out as soon as possible. But that is a world-class bullshitters video waiting to happen. So, don't read it, folks. Don't read it. What you should do is just wait to hear our response. I'll link you to the video or the article and all that stuff. But that's what my day is going to be. That and getting ready for tonight's show and taking care of a couple other pieces of business. Like I said, I got a big phone call yesterday about a big opportunity, so it's nice to have one of those now to talk about. But I'll tell you, people are still talking about steak. Oh, man. Let's see. I ate a Texas Roadhouse in New Jersey. It was so weird because New Jersey is so far removed from Texas. Ohio's removed pretty far from Texas, too. The only thing I dislike about the Texas Roadhouse is their music. Like, I like steaks, but Texas Roadhouse, Logan Steakhouse, all these places, they play shitty country music. And can I not enjoy a nice steak dinner and not have to hear Boot, Scoot, and Boogie? That's all I can say. Sasha Banks is medium rare. Ugh. I do not like Sasha Banks at all. At all. So, some people don't like Texas Roadhouse. Well, we always take my grandma there for her birthday. That is a grandma tradition. One final piece of the Mandalorian news, and this is a piece of positivity. Yes, we're talking about something positive on the channel. Dave Filoni. So Dave Filoni is one of the creative forces at Lucasfilm that everyone here seems to love, seems to praise. So this is Dave Filoni's artwork for The Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal tweeted this out on his official, sent this out on his official Instagram page, and this is neat artwork. Now the reason I'm sharing it to you, or with you, is because it makes me feel something. It reminds me, the way this is drawn reminds me so much of the old Joe Johnston or the other preliminary sketches, the pre-production artwork. It's cool to see that, like, this is something that does speak to me. This is the Mandalorian design. Obviously, Boba Fett dictates the Mandalorian design and all that stuff. But it's neat to see the sketches like this. It throws me back to post-Star Wars, pre-Empire Strikes Back, because for as much as I can talk to you guys about the movies, the meaning of the Force, this, that, and the other, my favorite stuff to talk about with Star Wars was straight up the production of the films. That's where I'm most interested. For as much as I love to watch all my favorite movies, the production of the film seems to interest me more at a certain point. After I've seen the movie 150, 200 times, I want to learn more about how it was made and then watch the movie, if that makes sense. But I just wanted to share this to you guys. We got a lot of art fans out there. I'm an artist, obviously. I enjoy to draw. I try to draw. Here's the thing. I get to draw for the comic all the time, but, fun stuff that I'm trying to do outside, I haven't had much of a chance. So, I just wanted to share this with you guys and show you, another side to the Mandalorian and end it on a positive, fun note. We got all kinds of great Star Wars art that exists. The art of Star Wars hasn't really suffered. The films have suffered, the narrative around the films have suffered, but the art itself has not suffered. So, I think you guys at least enjoyed looking at that. And I wouldn't mind owning a piece of Dave Filoni original artwork. I mean, I could draw this if I really wanted to, but, you know, it's officially from the man himself. Why not? Joe the Rocketeer Johnston. Yeah, Joe Johnston, man, he did some great stuff. Rocketeer, Captain America, he finalized the Millennium Falcon design, and Boba Fett. The dude's one of the unsung heroes of Star Wars. When you talk about Ralph McQuarrie, which you should, he's one of the people that you put up there with John Williams, Gary Kurtz, Ben Burt, Lucas, all those people, and Marsha Lucas. She deserves credit too, because the edit is what saved Star Wars. Joe Johnston there should be a dash next to McQuarrie, and slightly underneath that would be Joe Johnston, who finalized those designs. I mean, John Mallow was the costume designer. Give him his credit too, but it's all about whoever finalized that design. That movie works on so many levels, but the designs are perfect. So perfect. Grendel-fan84, thank you very much again. After reading about the drama and nightmare behind the making of Superman 1 and 2, I discovered it's a miracle that a movie is made. Yeah, there is so much stuff. I'll bounce it off to Star Wars in a moment, but even that movie, I mean, Lucas was in the hospital for hypertension because of the stress involved with that movie. Now, for those out there that don't know about Grendel Fan's Super Chat, Superman 1 and 2 were originally shot together back to back. Then they realized, so the movie was to happen. Then the Phantom Zone people were to break out. Then 2 happens. Then Superman revolves the Earth backwards to save Lois. I'm pretty sure she dies in the first one and then comes back in the second one. Grendel Fan, correct me if I'm wrong. But I know that those movies were both shot as 2 separate things. As they get closer to release date, they realize they can't shoot both movies, or can't finish both movies on time. So they focus on the first one, they recut it. Richard Donner's the director. Somewhere along the line, he has a falling out with Elia and Alexander Salkind, the owners of the property, not the owners of the property, but the owners of the film rights. And Donner quits, and they hire Richard Lester, who I think directed A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, who's done comedy stuff. So he comes in and does Superman 2. And he has to reshoot so many scenes. I think he has to shoot 50% of the film to get credit as the director type of thing. So Superman 2 is a little disjointed. But there's all kinds of cuts or scenes that were shot by Donner. And there's a Richard Donner cut, which is rare that you have 2 movies, 2 different cuts, 2 different directors. I think that came out around, 2006 in the response to Superman Returns. But there's all kinds of drama that happens with these flicks. Even if we talk about Star Wars, they have all these problems in Tunisia. They have a huge, the first rainstorm in 50 years, this, that, and the other. And the sets don't work. It's falling apart. People are sick. There's heat stroke. Then you get to London and you think everything's safe. It turns out that Gil Taylor and all the guys have no faith in the movie. Lucas and his ways don't really mesh with theirs. R2-D2 still doesn't want to work. They're on a tight schedule. Fox wanted to cancel the movie. People talk about Star Wars being this juggernaut. It wasn't at first. It took a little bit, like a weekend. But still, before it was coming out, nobody wanted the movie. They wanted this movie called The Other Side of Midnight. So Fox basically had to strong-arm you into taking Star Wars, because if you wanted Other Side of Midnight, you had to exhibit Star Wars. Nowadays, nobody's even talking about The Other Side of Midnight. I've never seen it. But damn it, everybody knows Star Wars. Oh, he was a closeted diabetic. I didn't know George Lucas was a closeted diabetic, but I did know that he had to go to the hospital for hypertension because he had so much stress from working on that first movie. And at least for me, it makes me like the first Star Wars even more because it's such a labor of love. When the rebels beat the Empire, it's such a great victory because they lost so many. They lost what? So there's 30 small fighters and 3 go back. Luke, Wedge, and on a Y-Wing. So they lose 27 of their 30 fighters. 90%. You take great pleasure in seeing your heroes overcome adversity. It all slingshots back to the new Star Wars, the new movies in general, the NPC SJW culture, if you want to call them that. They don't like heroes that have to come up against adversity. It's always some bullshit excuse. It's like society today. Even though I just turned 30 and I'm considered a millennial. People joking, the struggle's real, but they can't handle the struggle. The struggle is most of the journey. Then you get there, and then there's the new struggle, but you're already at a certain point. Like for us, the struggle to get to a certain number of subscribers, and now we've reached that point, and now it's the struggle to get to the next. And to be honest, you call it the struggle, I call it the journey. The journey is the fun part. Think of all the people that this channel has interacted with this year. Be it you guys that listen, Ethan, Jeremy, Doomcock, Mauler, Razorfist, The Dishonored Wolf, Retroblast, and all those channels that we've come into contact over 2018. That's the journey, part of the journey, and the journey's far from over. There's so many more opportunities that keep coming our way. There's so many things that we keep moving towards and forward that I wouldn't want to make one video, get 50 million subscribers, and just kind of not know where to go next. It's more, to me, the journey's more fulfilling, because then you look back and you feel accomplished. And characters today just don't have that because of the way society coddles people. It's a dangerous precedent to set, and I'm worried about where we go next. That's all I can say. I'm worried about where we go next. Cue Binary Sunset. Thank you. I think that's the perfect musical cue for me. Now, if I look out into the sky, it's a gray, murky day, but man, I can imagine the twin suns of Cincinnati setting on me. Man, I love the music of Star Wars. God damn it. I really do. Well, I wouldn't say that. When I die, I want to go out like Darth Vader. Yeah, put me in a costume, burn my body, and play that fucking music. Not Yub Nub. Play the good one. Excuse me. So, by the way, folks, let's get that thumbs up. We have 360 people watching. Let's get 361 thumbs up. Thank you very much. Glad you guys are enjoying this show. I guess it was the coffee was the trick. The coffee was the key to all of this. Now that I got my coffee back in me, and I figured out what the circuit breaker and all that shit was, now I'm pumped to do this show. So again, I want to always tell you guys thanks for allowing me to do this show. I take great pride in it. I know a lot of people think they want the videos, and I want the videos too. They'll come back. Believe me. I want to do both. But I do feel a certain level of responsibility to produce this for so many people that come here every morning before work. So, again, thank you for sticking with us. NPC creators want to be creators, fear negative criticism. Artists know how the worst response is dead air. You're going to get it either way. I get it. You're going to get it. Everybody gets it. And you know what you do? You assess it. Is it valid? Do you take it as, well, maybe I should do this because it would help me? Or is it, that person doesn't know what they're talking about and I think they're jealous? There are different ways to handle criticism, but I think you should at least pay it some attention to assess it. Not instantly dismiss it out of anger or, being whatever. Sit down and think about it for a second. Oh, man. Coffee is man fuel. You damn right it is. Especially extra caffeinated, dark, strong cups of coffee that get me going. They really get me going. Now, let's talk about a few fun things before we close the show out. So, here, I keep talking about this impending Disney Marvel doom. Now, this isn't to bash Captain Marvel. I feel like everyone's done it well enough. First off, Sire J. Longstroke, thank you very much for Super Chat. She can't do that. Shoot her or something. What? I'm sorry. Wait, what is it? Wait, what is that from? Hold on. I know what that's from. I can't think of it. Give me a second. Shoot her or something. What is that from? Oh, yeah. Episode 2. Duh. When Padme's fighting the fucking creature. The Rathtar or whatever. Duh. How did I not pick? I just watched that movie. I guess. I don't know. My mind is so full of original trilogy knowledge. Let's see. No, I'm not closing out the show. I meant I have a whole bunch of other topics to move forward from Star Wars. Don't worry, I'm not closing the show. Bring Kendo into the chat. Press 1 if you guys want... Kendo, are you awake still? I know Kendo worked a long shift yesterday. If Kendo wants to join, he's obviously welcome to. Press 1 if you want to hear Kendo join in on the chat. He's always a fun time to have in. Plus... Well, I know he's awake because I've seen him in here. But he, he's going to be available on the show tonight, so I guess he's off. Coming off those 8 days. Okay, so we got a couple ones rolling in. Kendo's awesome. Like I said, this was the year we found our chemistry and perfected it. Brandon Moyce, thank you very much. Late to the party, what'd I miss? Oh, man, Brandon Moyce, you missed a lot. You missed a hell of a show. We talked about the Mandalorian cast. We talked about... the NPC SJW culture, and it's funny, it's like, you guys talk about that every day. Yeah, but every day they're doing something dumber. So it's always something to talk about. The moisture was with this show, guys. The moisture has been with this show. I do suggest you check out the replay, Brandon. If you got any specific questions, let me know. Obviously, we love to have you on the channel. You were a lot of fun for our Star Wars chat the other day. So, make yourself more available, man. Love to have you on and shoot the shit. Mareth Dealine, thank you very much again. When I was younger, I always wondered why Obi-Wan looked so old only after 19 years, but the book Kenobi explains that it's very well exposure to the dual suns that dry you out like a raisin. See, now, those are little things in the EU books that I like. Little bitty things that people are like, well, how does Ewan McGregor become Alec Guinness? Yes, I buy into that one too. And they're fun little explanations. You know, you can always say, well, they're two different actors. Like, to me, there's always two answers to this shit. There's they're two different actors argument where, okay, I get it. Or there's, you know, it's the sons, it's this, it's that. And those are fun little answers. I'm not heartbroken that there's no Kenobi movie, but that's the one that seemed most interesting. Like, for the people that want to say, well, the Benioff and Weiss Game of Thrones directed Star Wars trilogy is going to be the next big one. Sometimes seeing the characters you like in settings where they're treated with respect is more fun. Had Solo been played by a more masculine dude who could command the screen and is not 5 feet 2 inches tall, I think we would have had a better movie. But we didn't, so we don't, and I can't really lament that too much longer. But yeah, man, the twin sons of Tatooine will do that to you. The sand, the arid wastelands that is Tatooine will do that to you. And little things like that, I buy into. So, the only thing, I guess, question-wise, that bothers me is when people say, well, he doesn't, you know, the R2-D2 thing. It's like, but he never owned R2-D2. He just says, I never recall owning a droid. And, again, if we go by the logic presented in the film, the R2 units, they all look the same. There's just a few different color variations. So, I mean, I remember I had a white Toyota Camry in high school. If you drove that same car to me, I wouldn't remember if it's the same exact one or not. It's just a white Toyota Camry. So, I'll give Obi-Wan that credit right there. But thank you very much, as always, Mareth Dealine. Jaron Ricewig, what's up? If I had a time machine, I'd go back to the first time and invest in Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, etc. Then I'd go to the future and see SJW World. Let me tell you something, Jaron Ricewig. When you have that kind of money, don't forget us. Because I'll tell you the truth, if I had a time machine, I'd be doing the same shit. I'd go back, I'd get some copies of Action Comics #1, Amazing Fantasy #1, and Detective Comics #27. I'd bring them back in mint condition. I'd auction them off for $1 million each. Then I'd take said $1 million. I'd go back and invest in those same stocks as you did, as well as Google. I would collect my billions of dollars, come to the future, or come to the present time. And let me tell you something. SJW culture does not reach upper society. If you have money, there is no SJW culture. You have these people that want to act like they're doing this and that for the world and the social engineers and stuff. But if you're just an average everyday Joe with a lot of money, you're not going to run into that as much as you would think. It's like on the spectrum. At the really low end, the people that don't have want to come up with all this bullshit, and you know they'll talk about this bright future, or everyone's got this and that, and you know you have to take from the rich to give to the poor type of thing. But if you get to the extreme wealth, people are bored. But you do have you'll probably live in a world of investments and this and that, and it sounds awesome, and it is. It will be awesome. You'll also be like, you know, I can avoid those problems. This is happening, I'm just going to fly in my Thanos copter to China for a week. Well, I wouldn't go to China for a week. My cousin is very successful. He owns a big business here in town, and he hated going to China. He's like, I puked because the food was so gross. So, I would love I want a time machine. Jaron Ricewig, if you want to cut me in, I'll go halfsies on building the flux capacitor. I'll take our super chat money, and we'll go back in time. I want this channel. I want everything to be the same. I want the same friends, the same listeners, all that stuff. I just want $1 billion. Or, you know, win the lottery. That's another thing you could do. You could go find out when the Powerball hits big, go to the future, get the numbers, come back, get the ticket, and cheat. Who cares? Whatever. You're not going to alter the course of history by making yourself a trillionaire. Corin Horn, thank you very much. My son bought me a travel mug that says, Daddy's Go Fuel. You know, Corin Horn, that reminds me of that Folgers commercial that's out right now. I don't know if you've seen it or not. where the daughter gets her dad a World's Best Dad mug, and then the dad and the daughter get older, and the mug gets, more worn out, and the daughter thinks she's too cool for school, but the dad still drinks the mug constantly, or out of the mug constantly, and she looks over when she's kind of frumpy in those teenage years, but she still smiles, and then she gets older, and she looks at the mug, and it's falling apart, and then she gives him the World's Best Grandpa mug, and, people are just like, oh my god, Folgers, the crystals, they're in my eyes. No, that's what that reminds me of. But that's awesome, though, that you, people, I don't have a kid to get a gift from, so I don't understand the same thing, but I know my mom, anytime I get her a gift, she holds it in such high regard. For example, 2012, I transferred schools, and I got a, you get the student refund checks, and I paid for my tuition. I got scholarship money, too, so I had some leftover money. I paid off my credit card, paid for car insurance, and I bought my mom this Hello Kitty purse and wallet set. It was one of the first times I bought her a Christmas gift because I actually had money, and she has never used that purse. She has never used that wallet. And she'll buy other purses and other wallets, and I'll say, Mom, you got that Hello Kitty purse that you wanted so much, this, that, and the other. She goes, I don't want anything to happen to it because you gave it to me. So it sits in a closet waiting for the day to be used. She doesn't even want to take it out and put it on a table because she's like, what if I scuff up the bottom? It's the only one you gave me, this, that, and the other. So I do understand the importance of a parent-child gift. And, I'm the other way, too. It's like, shit, I got all my old stuff my mom bought me as a kid. I don't want anything to happen to it either. So I guess I understand where she's coming from. But, yeah, coffee is go fuel. I couldn't imagine having coffee as a kid, man. I'd be wired as shit. Let's see. Mareth Deoline, thank you very much. In the book, Kenobi is warned about the raisin effect, but he allows it to happen anyway to better hide from the Empire. So it's very likely he had PTSD. I didn't know that. Well, it would make sense, though, because he understood the importance of Luke Skywalker. Again, we have heroes that sacrifice. He sacrifices his own looks for Luke to, raise up and become a Jedi and help bring balance to the Force and all that stuff. I mean, let's be honest. Based off, I'm trying to go back just to be safe. When you watch the original ones, if you don't have the prequels for context, Luke is the hero. Now with the prequels, Anakin, and you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not destroy it, and all that stuff. I hate you. That's prequel era additions, but still, thematically, it works. But that makes me like Obi-Wan Kenobi a lot more. All the prequel era and EU stuff make me like Obi-Wan a lot. He's my favorite prequel character. As a kid, Obi-Wan was just the old guy. A little. And I had the figure, but I only needed one Obi-Wan. And I also had two. I take that back. I had Obi-Wan in the spirit of Obi-Wan. And then when I upgraded my Star Wars figures to the new articulation and stuff, Obi-Wan wasn't the figure I wanted to upgrade. Now as an adult, I do have, super articulated Han, Luke, Leia, and Obi-Wan. He's part of the crew. I dig Obi-Wan Kenobi. And as an adult, I respect Alec Guinness a lot more. He brings a lot of gravity to the table, a lot of weight. So he, he's a great character. He's a great actor. By the way, Brandon Moyes, congratulations on finishing school. I remember, God, it was like, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, this coming April, I remember getting home from finishing my last final, and I knew I passed because I had an A in the class already. I could toot my own horn. I was like, I did graduate on the dean's list. I was a good student. I remember leaving school thinking, it's over. And it was weird, too, because I talked about the journey a moment ago. I'm on this journey. I'm on this path, taking classes, doing this, doing that. I got to graduate. And then it's over. And, what's next? And thankfully, I had a cool mom who gave me time to find out what's next. And now this is what's next. So congratulations, Brandon Moist. Believe me, I understand the struggle of finishing through school. Sometimes it's a challenge, but based on what you've told me, dude, you got a lot of shit that you worked for, so you probably have a hell of a degree. Logan Michael, I actually bought my Ultimate Michael Myers from Big Bad Toy Store a couple months ago, so I just gotta find out when it's going to arrive. I may not get it before Christmas, but I did pay for it. So I am owed one Ultimate Michael Myers, and then I'll see how he compares to the Mezco 1/12 Collective. I was aware that Rian Johnson worked on Breaking Bad. He did the Die Fly Die episode and some other stuff. But when it comes to directing and writing TV shows, remember, they don't have the same influence as like a Vince Gilligan, the producer. The producers are the ones that really dictate a lot of the show. Now, that's not to take away, because the Breaking Bad episodes Rian Johnson worked on were fine. But just because you do one great thing doesn't mean everything else you do is good. Like, The Last Jedi is a shit movie. Now, could Rian Johnson bounce back and do something great next? Yeah, Knives Out could be the greatest movie ever. Probably won't be. I'm not going to support it in theaters because of, I'm called a man baby and this and that. Again, don't shit on your fan base. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I hope you like the leftist propaganda in college. Actually, I didn't have any of it. I had a teacher who tried to promote it. I'll never forget. This would have been 2012. This would have been the fall semester. So 6 years ago, we had this class, media and marketing or something like that. And she tried to teach us about the male gaze and the female gaze and all this other horse shit. And she says, "About everyone's here is a feminist." I said, "I'm not a feminist." And I challenged her every day in class because I thought she was just giving us bullshit. I picked up on this 6 years ago. All this crap they tried to teach us, I just thought, I was like, well, how is this relevant to this class? What is this stuff? These are fictional, made-up things. And then I had another teacher who would have been like a... and that lady gave me like a B. I really did write some great papers. I should have got an A. I'm just going to, bitch about it. But no. Then I had another teacher who was super left-leaning, but she loved to argue, and I love to argue, and I got a straight A in that class because I would present arguments about all kinds of stuff opposed to her, and she's like, "You get it." And we had differing opinions, but she respected me and I respected her, and to me that was a nice happy medium. And she didn't try to brainwash us. She taught us this, and she gave you both points of view, and if you agreed, disagreed, she gave hers, but she also gave what the book said and stuff like that. And I remember I wrote a pamphlet. It was a project, and I said about masculinity, what happened to it. And I used Tobey Maguire. I know that's a lame excuse, but I also used Andrew Garfield. And I said how men are now, like, what's popular is, like, thin, effeminate men, and, a different type of guy is whatever. And it's weird that I'm writing this shit years before the channel existed. Years before there was a World-Class Bullshitters, or, when there was a Disney Star Wars film to watch. I was talking about this stuff before I even knew what it was, because I sensed it. I've always had my finger on the pulse of popular culture. So I was just there doing it before, and now I found a way to do it for an audience, and it's awesome. It's awesome. A lot of kids do buy into the BS of today, but let me tell you something. They get into the real world, and they'll understand that those things aren't... Well, here's another thing. A lot of boomers have to work later into life. Some people don't have great retirement. Some people don't have a future planned out. Some people are going to work late into their later years. You'll always weed out the shit, and there'll be a nice medium to the whole order of shit. So I wouldn't be too worried, because the way things are going, money dictates a lot of stuff. And I hate to say it, but that'll be what dictates a lot of stuff in our lifetimes. I think everyone that watches this show, including myself who produces it, I don't think we'll live to see this economic downfall and all this shit like we think. The news will tell you it's one way, this will tell you the other way, but go turn off your phone, turn off your TV, and go walk around in the real world. When they said, "Oh, the economy's garbage," I'd go to Target and there'd be lines out the door, or Kroger, or this or that. People are moving. Your perception is very important to a lot of these things. And I don't perceive the world to be a bad place full of terrible, racist, negative people. I think the world is a cool place where people are a lot more respectful if you pay attention to the interactions on the on the interpersonal level. They're not, like at the gym, black dudes, white dudes, everybody, they talk, they respect the machines, they wipe them off. They don't treat people any differently. Yes, there are different beliefs based on generations, but at the same time, over time, people just are more accepting. And we're almost at that point where it's not a big deal. I think that's why your Triggly Puffs of the world and all these things like that, they get such a negative feedback, because when we've reached that comfortable level with each other as a society, as people, they always are trying to bring up differences and tear people apart. And movies do it, and TV shows try to do it, or you get stuff like This Is Us, which is preachy as shit. But again, turn off your computers, your phones, and your televisions, and find a much better representation of what's actually going on. Where's Tuesday's High Council? It is on Jeremy's channel, Geeks and Gamers. I don't know if he unlisted the stream or not. I haven't talked to him about it. I haven't talked to him since Tuesday, actually. So you'll have to message him. He's on Twitter. He's very easy to find. He's fun to find, too. There's about 50,000 different Jeremys out there. There's also a Coconut Jeff. But there's there's a lot of different Jeremys out there. Red Dead 2 is a great game, even if it's PC as hell. I stopped playing it. Nothing to do with the agenda or the perceived agenda or whatever's in the game. I lost interest in the mechanics. I was so tired of the fucking size of the map, and it all looks the same. It looks beautiful, but it's really boring. Spider-Man does have a slight slant, but the nice part is, and it's true to the character of Spider-Man, he comes out on top. Maybe he loses things along the way or things happen to him, but it's the most true representation of Spider-Man in over a decade. And yeah, they try to do the Miles Morales and Mary Jane thing. Miles Morales is the most redundant comic book character in history. He offers nothing new to the table. He's just a younger, darker version of Peter Parker. He's a smart kid. He lost a father figure, this, that, and the other. What's the difference? Oh, he's got friends of different races. So does Peter Parker. Peter Parker lived with Randy Robertson, the son of Joe Robbie Robertson, and they're black. Peter Parker's always had an ethnically diverse group of people around him. And that's never been a complaint with me. My complaint with stuff like a Homecoming is, why can't they just treat the regular characters like the regular characters? Miles Morales is Darker Parker. I love that, Darker Parker. It's unlisted. It was never listed. The show was live. I was on the show. It was definitely a live show. We had tons and tons of people. We had Odin's movie blog. We had Ivan Ortega, the man, the myth, the editor. And we had Cecil. And Cecil's awesome. I'm glad to see a resurgence in Cecil love. So, Sammy Aragon says, your Spider-Man knowledge is impressive. If you enjoy my knowledge of Spider-Man, join us on Friday night, tomorrow night, for the stream. I don't want to sound like a preachy authoritarian, but I really do care. Like, I care about Star Wars. I care about, preservation of these characters, because if they sucked in the first place, they wouldn't have the shelf life they do. And the reason I know about this stuff is because I consume it. See, you like Star Wars, you guys watch the movies, you consume the books and stuff like that. You gain a respect, a love, and interest in the things. Mine is Spider-Man and James Bond. You guys know I love 007. I actually picked up a really awesome book called The James Bond Archives, thanks to our friend American Trent 007. And, I just enjoy that kind of stuff. And if you ever want to know to the same level of knowledge that I do, I suggest you start from the beginning of the books. You get yourself a book called Spider-Man: The Ultimate Guide by Tom DeFalco. That's a nice shortcut to learn a lot about the characters. And then you get yourself a book called Spider-Man: The Icon to learn about the social impact of the character. And then you get yourself a book called The Art of Spider-Man Classic to learn about the different artists. If you want, that is my quick guide to learn about Spider-Man. Spider-Man: The Visual History, or The Ultimate Guide by Tom DeFalco, Spider-Man: The Icon by Steve Saffel, and The Art of Spider-Man Classic. It doesn't really have an author. But those books will help you if you want to learn about Spider-Man. And then I feel like if you guys at least check some of that stuff out, then you can see my disconnect between the movies and what I expect Spider-Man to be, and why I build up Raimi's movies. I don't build up the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies because they make me feel all warm and fuzzy. They do, but they pay respect and they get it. They represent the character properly. And it's funny how people want to throw them under the bus because there's new versions, but newer doesn't equal better. In some cases, like Christian Bale is more recent than George Clooney. He's the better version of Batman. But Michael Keaton's older, and he has his own merits too, and he's better to some people, me included. Or you have Affleck, and people love Batfleck. I think it was GrendelFan84, or maybe it wasn't him, but somebody said they love Batfleck because of the way the suit looks. There are merits to certain things, but it all comes from knowing the character. And, if you are ever, when you guys see my office, when I eventually get it camera-worthy, you will see tons of Spider-Man shit. I got probably 40 Spider-Man figures, thousands of books. I've read most of those, so it just comes from knowing it. Marethialine, thank you very much. Heading to work, and I have recently bought the helmet and gauntlets of Sauron and the robes of the Witch King of Angmar, both from Lord of the Rings. Isn't Sauron Christopher Lee's character? I think I know that pretty much. I hope you have a good time wearing it. I mean, it's cold out. Maybe it'll keep you warm. You know, I do dig on cosplayers at conventions. I like it in theory, and I love when people are, I love to look at the stuff. Like, there's a website that sells, like, screen-accurate licensed Star Wars gear. I'm like, that's so cool. And I like the concept of all that stuff. It does become a little bit of a clusterfuck when you try to go to these shows. But Mareth Dealine, let me know if this stuff is comfortable. I know sometimes you buy this, not you personally, because I don't know you, but, like, I'll buy certain things, and I'm a big dude, and it just never fits. It's like, oh, I'm going to get this helmet. I can't get my head in it. Oh, I got these gloves. You know, as a kid, I was the size of an adult. At 5 years old, I was the size of your average woman. So, I mean, none of this stuff ever really worked for me. But, there we go. What's your take on characters like Batman? I love Batman. Batman is my second favorite superhero. I can look up. I see the Batmobile from Forever, from 89. I see a Batman 89 figure, a giant animated series figure, the Blu-rays. Batman's my second favorite. I don't have the same... sometimes people do have emotional attachments to characters. You can see yourself in them. I don't see that with Batman. A little bit with Spider-Man, That's also because I liked the Blue Power Ranger. Because I was always one of those kids that, I liked to go to school. I liked being smart and getting good grades and stuff. I had friends. The older I got, the more I became like Flash Thompson or something like that. I mean, listen to our After Hours shit with me and Dion. I've lived like the Animal House old school college life, and it's been great. But earlier on, I wouldn't call myself a nerd, but, I was just a good student, and not everybody liked me. Hate to say it, because their parents had racist tendencies. I know you're thinking, Jeff, you're talking about how the world's good. Yeah, but in 1994, it was a little different. Believe me, I heard this shit. But I didn't let it color my perception. That's why I get really mad when people say, oh, white people are evil. No, they're not. Some people are just pieces of shit, and pieces of shit come in every color. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. It's their life experiences, their learned biases and hatred. So we got to make sure the people understand that differentials. But yeah, I like Batman. But other thing, I identify more with Spider-Man because of the knowledge. And, Aunt May's old. I was close with my grandma. That was cool. Plus, honestly, what it boils down to is there's something about that costume. I look at the eyes. I look at that suit. Stan Lee had a good point. He says, anybody can see themselves as Spider-Man. You can be black, you can be white, you can be Asian, because the whole body's covered. Maybe that's it, but I loved the free web swinging and all this stuff. And every time Spider-Man has had, a big impact on a new form of entertainment, I've been there. The first movie, the big open world games, this new game with beautiful technology. I dig it. I follow the character around. But that's also why I get really mad when they change it. I don't feel like I own it, but I don't feel like it needs to be changed because the sales aren't dropping. Spider-Man wasn't a failure. People identified with the character at every stage. It now becomes too much. When you change too much, when does it not become Spider-Man anymore? As PS4 Spider-Man, the best Spider-Man game of all time. Yeah. Yeah, the Mary Jane stuff is dumb. Here's the thing. I hate to use the phrase, excuse me if I offend anybody. Actually, I don't care. Mary Jane's really bitchy in the game. When you get to the DLC, that's over. By the end of the game, you work out your problems. All this bullshit is taken care of. Spider-Man is the hero. Everyone respects him. I love the ending with Doc Ock. It's really impactful. And the Miles Morales stuff, you don't have to play him outside of those 2 or 3 missions. And if he's in the next game, I'm just not going to buy the game. I hate to say it. I can live with Spider-Man 1 for PS4 being the greatest Spider-Man game ever. I do look back on the first one for PS1 and think of it as a great game, but this one is really just head and shoulders better. Better graphics, better gameplay, the fighting mechanics. It just respects the character, and it's a fantastically made game. It looks great. Grendel-fan84, thank you very much. The new Miles Morales series kicked off this week, and the demand was low. I think our customers at Comics Elite have lost interest in him. Well, Grendel-fan84, you definitely have your finger on the pulse of what fans want, because, Comics Elite, that's a store that caters to a lot of people. One thing I do, not the one thing, but one thing I really like about interacting with you is you're very honest to me about what's popular, what's not. My local comic book shop, I love them to death, but they're just like, it's whatever. They consider a demand high if they order 4 copies of the book, and it sells 4 copies of the book. I guess they look at it on a percentage of, well, it sells 100%. But I do like that you guys, or you especially, are very open with what people buy, who goes where, who does what. I'm not on an agenda to see Miles Morales fail. But as a fan of Marvel, somebody that can identify with people of different colors, excuse me, I like, white characters, black characters, all the same. I do feel like this new wave of, first off, all the Spider-Verse characters can go fuck themselves. There's just one. Peter Parker, 616. I don't need anything else. Then you have all these new young versions of the Avengers and stuff. I don't get into those at all. Those are just characters I can't do. Let's see what else we had pop up. Okay. So we are caught up on the Super Chats. Thank you guys for making a awesome Good Morning Pop Culture even more awesome. Let me talk about something else Spider-Man related. It is cool. I mean, I cover it a little more. Like, it was, what's crazy is I thought our Spider-Man Homecoming, or excuse me, Spider-Man Far From Home episode of Good Morning Pop Culture didn't get a bunch of views. But it's actually, on the back end, got a ton of views because it has the trailer information leaked that nobody else has been covering here on YouTube. I mean, sure, people have covered it, but in the High Council community, our community, I got it first, and it actually has more views than our Avengers live reaction trailer, or a live trailer reaction. So I do like to cover Spider-Man, and this weekend the movie comes out. While I'm against it, cool. If this is what gets kids, here's my thing: if Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is what gets kids into Spider-Man, and then at the top level they keep Spider-Man, recognizable. And they keep it alive for another 50 years. The best part, too, is these kids will get older, and they'll find the Raimi movies. And you'll get maybe 1 out of 5 kids that'll go back and read the old comics like I did. I'll never forget, we went to Borders Books. And they had these Marvel Masterworks for $14.99. And my mom's like, I'll buy them for you. And she bought me the first 4. No, it was the first 2 volumes. And then she bought me the next 2 when we found them. And I read those books front to back, back to front, everything in between. The letters, pages weren't in their books, but they had these little forwards by Stan Lee, which I also read. Every once in a while, you'll get a kid like me that gets into the character, and they'll find the other stuff, and they'll keep the classic stuff alive. That's why I find it interesting that they sold the Spider-Man game on this new costume. And for a while, they hid it from you that you couldn't get the suit, the original suit. But then there was a point in time where people were like, is the original suit in the game? And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of people. And they left it in there, obviously, and they made it to where you don't have to play in that new advanced suit. And you can get the powers, and you can do all this stuff in the classic suit. They presented the best-looking Spider-Man ever. So, okay, Saruman, Jeff. That's okay, so I did get the character right. Oh, Sauron was the big eye. Saruman was Christopher Lee. Okay. Sauron lived in... All these names sound familiar. Oh my god. Saruman. What is the fucking pterodactyl guy from X-Men? Is he Saruman as well? There's a big pterodactyl dude that is from X-Men. He lives in the Savage Land. I think that's Saruman as well. So, a Venom sequel is on its way, and Spider-Man could play a role. Now, I told you guys, with Into the Spider-Verse getting the buzz it's getting, and Venom being the hit it was, I think Sony's going to start trying to pull that Sony card and become real Sony-like and take away Spider-Man from the MCU. So, they've been talking about it, how it's coming to light, and they said it's a possibility that Spider-Man could show up in this movie. Now, Venom comes out October 2nd, 2020. Or, well, it's an untitled Sony Marvel sequel. So that'll give the movie just over 2 years. I expect this movie to make good money on Blu-ray. I'm not going to follow the Blu-ray sales to a T. That guy's also named Sauron. Shit, well, okay. I was right. I'm not going to follow the Blu-ray sales to a T, but I see this movie picking up life on home video and overall being a success, and you're going to get more Venom movies. There are 2 Spidey suits, the classic and the black and white Venom suit. Yeah, thank you, Michael Connor. You and I owe you a handshake, sir. We both agree on that. There are only 2. I do enjoy the Future Foundation suit because, Spider-Man's teaming up with the Fantastic Four to become the Future Foundation and all that stuff. But they only used it for such a short time. But if Hasbro were to re-release another Future Foundation Spider-Man figure, I'd be buying it right away. Let's see. People are saying it sucks because Venom is so mediocre. I haven't seen it. I made a point. I'm not going to watch it. I didn't watch it. But a lot of people seem to love it. A lot of people here told me it's better than you think. Is that because expectations were lowered and film, surprised you? Possibly. I guess I'll watch it on home video one day. I've seen every other Spider-Man film. Why not watch all the spin-offs? I guess I'll have to do the same with Into the Spider-Verse at home, where they don't really make much money. What's my favorite moments from the prequels? The lightsaber duel in Episode 1. There's something about the way that music hits and the lightsabers clash. It hits you, man. They got that one right. Lucas is a master of playing on your emotions. Storytelling, everything came together perfectly in that one moment. It almost makes you forget how dumb a lot of the other elements are in Episode 1. Episode 2, the opening's fine with the chase through Coruscant. I don't like the rest of the movie, though. It's a chore to get through. And Episode 3 starts out with a bang and ends with a bang. So Episode 3 is a pretty good movie all the way through. There are some slow moments, but overall. But Episode 1's lightsaber duel is my ultimate favorite episode, or prequel moment. Shit, it's in my top 5 favorite Star Wars moments, I'd say. Well, no. There are little moments in Star Wars that I like more than all the prequels combined. It only makes sense because Venom came from Spider-Man. Yeah, Venom first appeared... Depends on how you want to classify him as Venom, or it as Venom. So, the symbiote appeared in Secret Wars 1984. So, was it number 12 was when he debuted the suit. So, he comes back to Earth in Spider-Man 252, and he has this black costume. And eventually he realizes that the costume's alive, and it wears him out at night, and fights crime and all this stuff. So Mr. Fantastic helps him take off the suit, and Spider-Man goes back to the red suit. Then the suit comes back in Web of Spider-Man number 1, where he goes to the iconic bell tower, and you find out that the vibrations, and, well, you don't see the fire to hurt it yet, but the sonic vibrations of the bell take away the suit, and it slithers away. And then he wears a black costume made of cloth because the Black Cat finds it sexy. And he wears that on and off with the red suit. They're kind of interchangeable. That's why Kraven's Last Hunt, he has the black costume on, but that's not the symbiote. That's just a straight-up suit he's wearing. Well, in the meantime, between issues, Spider-Man, Peter Parker would be out in public, and he'd be like climbing up a wall or standing on a train platform, and someone would push him into danger. And he would not be alerted by a spider sense. And it was Venom. Originally, Venom was going to be a woman, the wife of some character that Spider-Man did. There's all this information out there about it. But in Spider-Man 299, Venom first appears. Mary Jane comes home, and Venom's waiting on her. And issue number 300, she's afraid. And so Spider-Man fights Venom, and you think he wins. And Mary Jane gives Spider-Man back the red and blue costume, and then McFarlane, jazzes up that red and blue suit, and Venom's out doing his own thing. And Spider-Man brings back the black suit in, 2007's, whatever, when Aunt May got shot. That's when he brings it back. Back in black. I was in high school, senior in high school. I thought that was, the coolest thing in the world, to bring the black suit back. Did the Eminem song debut in 84, too? Yeah, it was a good year. It was a good year. 85 may only had the Goonies, Back to the Future, Fletch, European Vacation, Breakfast Club, or was that Weird Science? Doesn't matter. One of those great John Hughes movies. But 84 had that Eminem song. I love Spider-Man's black non-symbiote costume even more than the original. I love that suit, man. That looks awesome. I got figures of it. I like to draw it. The best part about drawing Spider-Man in the symbiote suit is that it's easy. You draw a body, depending on if you're how you like to do highlights. You add highlights. If not, you do a thin outline around the suit and you color that blue, and you got a black symbiote Spider-Man costume. GrindleFan84, thank you very, very much again. Here's the thing about the Venom movie. If you like the Transformers movies, enjoy a little to no blood, and like seeing Woody Harrelson as a Raggedy Andy wig, you'll enjoy Venom. Otherwise, stay away. Well, you are throwing things at me that I'm in love with and I hate. Woody Harrelson in a Raggedy Andy wig is fantastic. Woody Harrelson's hairpiece is what saved Solo: A Star Wars Story for me. No, I'm just joking. Honestly, Gradle fan, we've discussed this. We've talked Spider-Man. Superfan Adam Shawhan knows my interest in the character in person, too. Part of why I skipped it, dude. Part of why I skipped it. I think part of me wants to see just competition for the MCU. People just blindly accept it and roll over. We talked about Star Wars and there's no competition earlier, or they're a competition now. Marvel just is like, oh shit, a Marvel movie's out? We better, stay back. I want to see Sony kind of, get a set of balls on them and try to be like, hey, we can take them down. We can take back Spider-Man. Because I think the MCU is better without Spider-Man. My favorite character not being there. I could enjoy the other characters fully. I just don't like the dynamic of a kid there. Especially with the way kids are today in terms of always connected to their parents and this and that. Spider-Man was trying to be an adult as a kid. Uncle Ben died. He had responsibilities of trying to bring in money. That kind of struggle isn't really popular, but it's Spider-Man. So, Grendel fan, you know me. That's probably why. Because I don't like Transformers movies. I don't really mind blood. It can be gory or not gory. Some James Bond movies have blood squibs. Some movies don't. Hell, Raiders of the Lost Ark was the bloodiest Indiana Jones movie. And you're thinking, what do you mean? Well, in the other Indiana Jones movies, when people get shot, they just get shot. In Raiders, they were blood squibs. Like, Indy shot that dude in the head in the truck. And that's the bloodiest Indiana Jones movie. Some people would say it's the best. It's a damn fine movie. But I don't care. If it comes to blood or no blood, good story. Like Bond, there are some that have no blood. That's fine. Goldeneye doesn't have much blood at all. But that hairpiece, man, that's what's selling me. 1985 had Commando, Jeff. Arnold's best film. Yeah, Commando's a fantastic movie. If I want to quote Commando and you say, that's Arnold's best film, I'll go, wrong, but I won't shoot you. I'll say that I like Predator the best. Predator, then Commando, then, I don't know. What do I like next? Running Man, Total Recall. There's so many great Schwarzenegger flicks. There's so many great Schwarzenegger flicks out there. Not just Mandalorians, but women DeLoreans and children DeLoreans, too. Oh, man, you guys are awesome in the morning. Thank you so much for making this day great. If you thought you had fun this morning, wait till tonight's World Class Bullshitters. We're all really excited. And you know that big earthquake that happened in Tennessee that hit Atlanta? Well, Nick lives down there, so he's going to be talking about that too. So if you want a first-person perspective on that, you'll hear it tonight. Again, we will cover some of this Mandalorian stuff just for a minute because I want to hear what Dion's take. He's just as big a Star Wars fan as I am. But I think you guys are going to enjoy the show. Eddie Max of Andor, thank you very much. Rambo 2 in 85. Yeah, I forgot about Rambo 2 in 85. Some people consider Rambo 2 First Blood, or Rambo First Blood Part 2 the best one. I like the first one, and then I like the fourth one. 2 and 3 are fine, but they're a lot like Rocky 4, where they lack the same substance as the beginning or the end. Rocky 1, it's about going the journey, about going the distance. He doesn't win, but he still went the distance, and it was an, impactful movie. I really like Part 2. Rambo, he has that moment of, nothing is over, and all that shit. You don't see a lot of action heroes that come after Rambo have those same moments. That's why I really like Die Hard so much, because McClane has that scene where he talks to Al Powell, where he basically tries to apologize to all the shit he's done for against his wife. And there's like, you tell him yourself, cowboy. And, it kind of gives him that renewed interest, but it makes the heroes seem, fallible. Like Indiana Jones, remember after he goes through all that shit with the truck chase, he's on the boat, the Bantu wind, and he's like, it's not the age, it's the mileage, and, he's all beaten up and bloody. I like to see our heroes, our characters have those down moments. I think it makes them more relatable and more realistic. And it really does. You can put all the problems of modern day filmmaking on the new Star Wars, because that Esquire article talks about, they want to make Star Wars represent the modern era. Well, the modern era sucks. Star Wars is meant to always bring out the best. Nowadays the Star Wars characters don't have any faults. They're hollow representations. It's like perfect white woman, perfect Asian woman, perfect black dude, perfect Hispanic dude. Where's the depth? I want to see these characters have moments of self-doubt. We all have self-doubt. I want to see them overcome something. Movies are a great tool, and they could be used, and I think they should be used to empower the audience. When I make movies, I want everyone to leave the theater, maybe not necessarily, oh, that was the happiest ending ever, but I want people to feel better about themselves in the movie they just watched, and I want the characters and the audience to go on a journey together. The ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs. Those things are so important to filmmaking that is something that is lost today. They, it's diverse, it's this, it's that. Good. Where's the quality? Where's the storytelling? Where's the compelling aspect? What gets me into the theater? I'm not going to see Crazy Rich Asians because it's a bunch of Asian actors. Where is the drama? You know, what are you selling me in this movie? You know, you can't just say it's Ghostbusters but with all women. So what? You can't do that. I want more from my movie characters, and I don't think that's too much. These people get paid millions of dollars to produce movies. You know, there was a time when, you know, you'd go see a movie and you had faith in it. You know what it's going to get, what you're going to get out of it. And I just, I don't know what happened. Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Mask in 85 too. Well, also Back to the Future. But yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I like that movie. Tell him Large Marge sent you. Large Marge. I love that movie. I used to watch it as a kid a lot. Mask was never really a thing I was into. It wasn't on TV in the early 90s, so I never really got into Mask. Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin 2002 movie and getting the shit beat out of him and then killing the Green Goblin is one of the best superhero moments ever. Commander Cody, that's an excellent point. I will be talking about that again in greater detail tomorrow, but people want to say that the Sam Raimi movies are all cheesy and hokey and have no serious moments. I would argue the fight between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man, once he blows his face open, is one of the most serious moments in all superhero movies. That is... The happy music is over. Spider-Man had saved the kids and Mary Jane and all that fun stuff. But what's next? He gets the shit beat out of him. It gets serious. And one of my favorite moments of all these movies is when I have a father. His name was Ben Parker. And, like, that moment of Spider-Man, you know, because he tries, the whole, you know, Godspeed Spider-Man part was great, but the whole Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, Peter Parker, not love triangle, but father-son relationship triangle that was built that whole movie. You know, Peter saw Norman a certain way. Norman saw Peter as the son he wanted. He was smart, successful, this and that, and Harry was kind of jealous on the side. And it kind of came to a head. The climax, to me, was, you know, that emotional element of the story came to a climax when he's like, you know, I've been like a father to you, be a son to me. And then he has that realization, you know, I have a father, his name was Ben Parker, and Spider-Man comes into his own. He's no longer emotionally attached to that. And then the Green Goblin goes, Godspeed, Spider-Man, and boom, he tries to kill him. He dodges out of the way, and the Goblin kills himself. Perfect ending to that movie. And then you get the funeral. You build up with Harry going, you know, Spider-Man will pay, as God is my witness, Spider-Man will pay, or something like that. And then you get Mary Jane give herself to Peter, and Peter says no because he wants to keep her safe. And the movie ends with the big web sling, and you're like, what's next? And then the number 2, they pick it up perfectly, and it goes on and on from there. Those are small moments, and that's just a little taste of what you're going to get tomorrow night from me. But those are just little small moments of why the Raimi movies work and why they're much more, and they're much deeper than people want to say. And that is why I will always go out of my way to defend those movies and talk about those movies, because all I'm doing is telling you what's in there, and you can really just remember how those types of things feel. Before, movies were completely hollow and cardboard. You know, there was depth of those characters. Aunt May, a lot of it too, but you have to wait till tomorrow night to hear that. I heard that they're going to recast Kylo Ren as Michael Cera. Thoughts? I believe that is an excellent casting decision. If you're going to recast Kylo Ren, the most masculine butch man in the galaxy, well, then you cast him as Michael Cera, the most masculine butch man in Hollywood. I mean, the dude was banging Aubrey Plaza. That's not a joke. That's a real thing. So good for him on that one. But yeah, Michael Cera, man. I am more intimidated by Michael Cera in his 6-inch biceps than I am Adam Driver in his former military background. Yeah, Avi Arad did screw it up in number 3, Dr. Coffin Nails. It's kind of sad. I already knew they were going to do a Venom sequel when I heard Venom did better than Star Wars. Sony is the most transparent company in Hollywood. They care about money. I'm sure they talk about diversity at some points. Oh, yeah, they do with Ghostbusters and Paul Feig. But when that movie underperforms, you got Dan Aykroyd publicly saying, well, he won't be around our studio a lot anymore. So, love him or hate him, and I don't love him. Sony's the most transparent movie studio in Hollywood. They buy up shit. They're like an honest Disney. They're all pieces of shit, but at least they're honestly pieces of shit. Is Spider-Man being in the Spider-Man movie? Imagine that. Yeah. I would love to see Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie based on a Spider-Man villain that appeared in a Spider-Man comic from, you know, Spider-Man's history. Hey, it's 2018. It'll be 2020. Anything's possible, guys. Anything's possible. Yep, I know there would be no Venom without Spider-Man, believe me. You guys are preaching to the choir. I just pulled out issue numbers and dates and all that stuff, so I know my Spider-Man lore quite well. And I love it. The funny thing is, people go, man, how do you know so much about Spider-Man? Well, I enjoy reading it, and I think you guys would too if you just, read Spider-Man. They're not bad books. It's not like I'm reading, was it Dostoevsky or something real deep and I'm trying to relate to you. It's fucking Spider-Man. It's 26 pages or 28 pages of a story of a guy in a red and blue suit swinging around doing shit, but there's depth and there's different things there. And yeah, there are bad issues. There are bad runs of Spider-Man, Dan Slott issues, but to be fair, though, there are other bad runs of Spider-Man. It's not just Dan Slott. It's not like it was 42 years of amazing comic books and then he came on and fucked it up. There's ebbs and flows. But the Ditko, Lee, Romita, Lee, basically anything Stan Lee wrote in terms of the Spider-Man books, pretty damn solid run. Will you be watching Death Battle Thanos versus Darkseid on Wednesday? I like Death Battle. I think that's a YouTube series that does good work. I don't watch everything. Put it like this. I don't watch it, for the most part, until I binge watch it. And then, I'll sit down and I'll watch 12 episodes of just the fight. I don't like from the desk of Death Battle and all that stuff. That lady's fine. But I don't care about that. I want to watch the actual, who are the characters, the stats, and then the fight. And I like when they do the live action ones, but my favorite ones are when they do the Mugen style 16-bit battles. Like, I think it was Luke Skywalker versus Harry Potter. That was my favorite. Or, no, Spider-Man versus Batman. That's my favorite one, too. That is my favorite one. So I will check those out eventually. Maybe I haven't watched them in probably a year or two. Maybe I'm still a subscriber. Maybe that'll be the time when I sit down and watch all of those. Is there a Kraven's Last Hunt adaptation coming? I don't know, personally. I don't have the insider knowledge yet from Marvel. Well, I've been called about other things. They'll be calling me next week. If you do, it's going to take at least 2 movies to set it up, maybe 3 properly. So, it's great to be able to tout, we have this iconic storyline being adapted to film. But you got to remember, comic books are ongoing sagas every month. Now, some people prefer Japanese comics that tell one story and they're over. I do like the never-ending saga of Spider-Man. But you do need to build. Little threads are built here and there, like the first appearance of Luke Cage. He didn't just show up. They hid it when Gwen Stacy died, and then they kind of picked up on it, and then he appears and shit like that. So, with Kraven's Last Hunt, I want it. You just got to do it right. Gradle-fan84, thank you very much. I so wish that Willem Dafoe got to wear that animatronic mask from the test scene. It was a true Green Goblin mask. I've seen that. I'm going to show people that real quick. Let's see if anyone's seen that before. That'll be a nice, scary visual. Let's see. Green Goblin mask. Not masked. Mask. Now, I am guilty. I do enjoy the Spider-Man actual, techno Green Goblin mask. I'm fine with it. But for those out there who have never seen the original design, let me show you this. Now, Spider-Man comes from an era where they try to literally adapt stuff. They don't try to update suits and change this and that. Green Goblin, this is what he looked like originally. I like it. But at the same time, I do like the mechanical one. I guess because I'm so used to it. But in a way, it works for me. But I wouldn't mind seeing how this would have worked in the film. I love the costume for Spider-Man. I hope they wouldn't have changed that. But I like this. It's interesting and different. I wonder how the movie would have played. Because the first Spider-Man movie, while it's fantastical at times, it is grounded in reality to a degree. And I don't think the world was ready for the more fantastical elements yet. I think that's why Spider-Man and Batman were so successful in film, but other characters like Superman and later Superman films and certain ones weren't, because they were more like Fantastic Four. They were fantastical. They had crazy superpowers, this and that. People buy into Batman because he's just a rich guy in a costume. People bought into Spider-Man because he does have superpowers, but he deals in the everyday life, everyday world. He doesn't fight, crazy intergalactic threats. He fights a crazy drunk, on power, billionaire madman, hell-bent on destroying the city and the company that he built that scorned him. Smaller scale things. Like Spider-Man Homecoming was small scale, almost to a fault. I do look to Spider-Man, whatever the third Homecoming film is, to be the best of the 3. Because Spider-Man and New York are one and the same. It's, New York is just as much of a character as anybody else from the Daily Bugle or Spider-Man's personal life. When you're moving from the situation, I don't necessarily like that. You know, when Spider-Man goes away in the comic books from New York, it's like, oh, I've returned home, and they do a New York City shot, and you're like, okay, now I'm back in the story too. Spider-Man and New York are one and the same. And hell, I remember going to New York as a kid thinking about Spider-Man. As an adult, I'll kind of be like, man, if Spider-Man was real, how cool would that be? Not, but you know, I can dream. Are we thinking of the same Michael Cera? Yes, my hero. You know, I tell you guys all the time that I have these Star Wars posters on my wall. It's a lie. It's Michael Cera in Superbad, Michael Cera in Year One, and Michael Cera in Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Ignore Kat Denning and her giant boobs. Kat Dennings and her giant boobs. It's all about Michael Cera in that movie. What's that coffee shop in Lansing? Going back to our old stomping grounds tomorrow. You mean Big B Coffee? It used to be called Beaner's Coffee, but now it's Big B Coffee. I didn't realize you were that close to Lansing, Pagan God X. Too bad you're not going to be going there in about, I don't know, 3 weeks, because I'll be there. Less than 3 weeks, actually. I'll be there on the 28th through whenever. I want to meet up with a couple of I am going to meet up with a couple of our listeners. Trent and superfan Adam Shawhan and Dion and I are all going to go hit up lunch somewhere. So maybe we'll live stream it. Take a couple photos, hang out with the fans. Whenever we do travel, and you know, certain things I'm not going to announce, but I don't mind. It's like, oh, we're going to have lunch with these guys. It'd be fun to hang out with people. You know, that's one of the coolest parts of this. Yeah, we have the show. Yeah, I talk into a microphone. But then you do a convention, and this guy's like smiling at you. Here, it's Jeff the Iron Wolf and his wife, and they're nice people. And they come down and they have snacks with you. Or Tim Riggs is buying, you know, poutine or whatever. You know, we're just having a good time. It's those smaller things. And I can't wait. Like I said, we keep talking about it, but Chicago is going to be awesome because we have a great community, the best internet fan community. We all come together because we want to save things we love, to quote Rose Tico. But everybody has similar interests, and we'll have a lot of fun. Believe me, there's going to be 1,000,001 things to talk about at Star Wars Celebration, and Celebration will probably be like 12th on the list. So be prepared if you guys can make it. You want to get lunch at Deja Vu, Trent? I will never eat at a strip club, but you're an adult, so we could go. I don't care. Was there someone else in Nick and Nora besides Kat Dennings and her giant boobs? I don't know, Michael Connor. What are we talking about? I heard giant boobs and my mind stopped. Oh, man. He actually looks like a goblin. If you can't make it to Chicago, remember, the Bullshitters will be here in Cincinnati at Horror Hound in March. We'll also be in New York City in April. The weekend before Star Wars Celebration will be in New York City. Then we'll be in there. And then we're going back to Indianapolis in September. So I know we're more of an Eastern thing. We don't go too much more west past Chicago. But, you know, help the channel grow. Make sure you tell everybody, like this Christmas, give the gift of bullshit. Tell 2 friends about us. Or, if you're adventurous, at Christmas time when your family has their phones down, go to their YouTube app, subscribe to our channel, and let them be surprised with this channel. Imagine, like, what is this? World-class bullshitters. And they listen, they go, okay. And they'll say they like it or it's not for them. But, you know, give us a nice little Christmas boost. Brandon Moist, thank you very much. Chicago will be incredible. Hashtag fandom menace. Boom. I'm glad you're pumped, dude. I'm pumped. The moist is real. The moist awakens. The moisture is everywhere. Still the only man to have an episode named after himself. Hell, I don't even have my own episode named after myself. It's my own damn show. Yes, Dr. Coffin Nails, they truly do. And that's a power I'm okay to submit to. So, guys, it's 10 o'clock, or it's just about to be. It's 9:59. So I think that was a great Good Morning Pop Culture. I had a fun time. 2 days in a row. I feel like we're back. The power is back. Maybe it's the power of caffeine. You know what? I'm going to say it's the power of caffeine. Coffee, it does a bullshitter good. You know, yesterday we had By Your Hatred Combined, I Am Captain Bullshit. Today, coffee, it does a bullshitter good. So, folks, wet in that moist button and smash it. Hit that like button and let people know. I got to give everyone a shout out. We have been getting the thumbs up higher and higher. Now, on my next single release video, I'm shooting for goals. I want to hit 50,000 views and 1,000 thumbs up. So when our new single release videos go live, if you could watch those and give them a thumbs up and let people know to help the channel really, really grow, I'd appreciate that. I'm going to do a nice, happy balance of both. I want to do both. As soon as I can get through this comic, and it's taken, you know, a long time, but it's art. You got to do it right. As soon as that's done, I will have a much more open schedule. And I might even try to balance my days with the Christmas break coming to do, you know, wake up, eat something, do an 8-hour comic do 8 hours of comic pages, go to the gym, come back, work on videos, and then do that. So we'll see exactly how much I can do. But I have run myself ragged once, so I also know the importance of a good night's rest. So I would love to be a machine, not the LGBT 1000, but a nice T800 classic model. But I am a person, I'm a human, and I need to get some sleep. So, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with World Class Bullshitters, and thank you for making 2018 a fantastic year. As I said, I'll be back in just a mere, 10 hours, right? Yeah, 10 hours. I'll be back tonight. We'll have World Class Bullshitters episode 152. A shout out to our buddy, Dayton Pfeiffer. Happy birthday to you again, my friend. And be prepared for tomorrow night's Spider-Man stream. If you think my knowledge of Spider-Man is vast, well, just wait till we're watching the movie and talking about it. I'm actually going to do some prep work. I'm going to pull out a couple of these books, give a quick read-through, and have some notes for the show. And I'm going to draw while we do it. If I can get the computer to work and do 2 computers at one time on a Hangout and this and that, it's all dependent upon if it works or not. But if it does, be prepared for some awesome art as well as some Spider-Man fun. So I'll catch you guys tonight, and be excellent to each other, and I'll see you on the other side, Ray.